Remember everyone, AI art supposedly takes no effort, skill, and always looks trash. Lol. Such nonsense. This new artwork was the most challenging I've done by a lot, combining every difficult element from my previous images and then pushing it even farther, purposefully choosing one of the most difficult images I could think of to make with AI tools. Indeed, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to make, and the criticism that you can't depict your artistic vision with AI art is a pathetic lie as proving by this new image. My goal was to make an action scene with an even more complex pose that contained physical contortion and exertion in the body. I wanted to show the character performing a mighty attack with all their effort, conveying speed and motion and even more intense facial expression, and then placing it within a scene interacting with an enemy that she has just attacked. It was not easy, but I'm very happy with the results. Now, I'm not saying that this image is flawless, not at all. Indeed, I think if a more talented artist knew how to use AI tools, they could make a far better AI image than me, because that's the key. Making the best and most complex and specific AI art requires artistic ability. That's a run-on sentence, bro. So my next project will be to test new themes, specifically subtlety, combat with another sword-wielding opponent. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Okay. Well, since you gassed it up so much, let's take a look at the AI image. This was tweeted by Jazz's brother. Let's get into it. We gotta talk about something. I wasn't gonna make this video until I saw that tweet. And then after I saw that tweet, I have a responsibility to make this video. Now, this is actually the second take, because in the first take I got a little too heated. My New York was coming out. Let's just try to have a calm, rational, adult conversation here. So, first of all, we'll talk about that particular image a little bit later on in the video. I just wanted something to hook you. We're gonna talk about AI art today and why AI art bros are Braindead. Okay? That's what I'm going to title this video, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Because it's not so much what they're doing, it's more about the way they're behaving. So let's begin. First of all, what is AI art? So if you don't know, AI art is images created by artificial intelligence built off of databases of various images that have been compiled by programmers, and they basically just mash the images together based off of prompts that people put into the database. So the controversy around AI art is the fact that these businesses that built their databases off of various images did not check to see if all those images are copyrighted, and there's a ton of copyrighted material that they do not have the rights to that are in these databases that nobody ever consented to. So essentially, these databases are built up of pirated content. Probably the simplest way to put it. Personally, I don't have a problem with AI art existing because one, it's bad. Two, if it was built up of stock images, you know, royalty-free images, it would have been perfectly fine. Also, it does require no skill. Okay, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Another thing I should mention is that a lot of these databases like Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, and what's the other one, Midjourney, they charge their users. You can get a couple of free renders, as like all of us. I tried it out when I was starting to kind of get popular, maybe more at the beginning of this year or end of last year. It's sort of when the AI art explosion happened, right? So I gave it a shot just to check it out, and after about 4 or 5 images, they start charging you, which means they are charging you money to access a database of images that they didn't pay for. It's in court. There's some stuff going on. There's some legislation being written. It's a whole thing. I'm not talking about that right now. Here's the thing about AI art that I and most artists hate is the fact that it all kind of looks samey. All the images have that kind of trending on ArtStation style. If you go to the front page of ArtStation and click the trending tab, you're going to see images that look like AI art. You know, there's something to be said about the homogeny of the industry and how nobody has a style anymore, and everybody's trying to market to these companies, like these video game companies that all want that photorealistic style. Everything is soulless and just intended for profit, and that's sort of a bit of an ethical, philosophical debate. It all looks kind of the same. You can kind of tell it has a certain sheen to it that only AI art has, you know, that you can kind of see like on the front page of ArtStation with like, you know, the popular like trendy like, oh, that's gonna get you hired at Blizzard or whatever kind of style. Personally, I don't really care that much because you can tell 9 times out of 10 that AI art is AI art. And I don't really like the way it looks, nor do I ever really like that trending on ArtStation style. Yeah, there is something to be said about the mountains of stolen content that these databases are built upon. So, let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this video. Let's talk about AI art bros. Not AI artists, AI art bros, because they will never be considered artists to the rest of us. Let's begin. First of all, I don't know how true this is, because I only came across it briefly, but apparently there's some AI art bros that call real artists draw slaves and paint pigs. Which I think is just funny, honestly. You know, the thing about AI art bros is that they don't even like drawing. An artist that doesn't like drawing. Have you ever heard of a musician that doesn't like to play music? Or an architect that doesn't like to design buildings? Or a lawyer that doesn't like to study the law? You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where like somebody dedicates so much time and effort to that like the fact that you consider yourself that thing without even liking it, it's insulting. It's honestly insulting, and you're a piece of shit. All these AI art bros end up writing a essay per image. Like, just post it and say you made it with Stable Diffusion. You don't need to go on and on about how you're an artist if you really are one. Do you? It's annoying, and I don't like seeing it. Secondly, they like to imply that stealing art, which they do. Alright, these databases are built up of images that people don't own the copyright to, okay? Is not the same as inspiration and reference, okay? First of all, inspiration is a bullshit word for people that don't want to work hard. Secondly, that's not how reference works, okay? Reference isn't taking a bunch of images and putting them together. For instance, let me take this image by Guiez and this image by Wallop, right? Okay, we're going to use this in under terms of fair use for education because you people are Braindead and need some education, right? And if I just slap them together, that's not using reference. Using reference is finding images to learn how to draw things, right, from your own brain and building up your visual library, okay? You also have this whataboutism they like to talk about. Is like, when you call them out for stealing art, they like to say like, well, what about reference and inspiration and photo bashing, which I'll talk about in a second. This whataboutism, I hate whataboutism because it's usually, well, what about this completely unrelated thing that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, so I can deflect you actually critiquing me. Criticizing, not critiquing. I'm criticizing these people. This ain't a critique. I'm entering my villain arc, okay? Not really. Alright. Trust me, this video isn't as heated as the first take. Photo bashing. Let's talk about photo bashing for a second. So photo bashing is a technique used by digital artists where you create pieces with a background that's drawn from a photo. Okay? Now, 99% of the time, digital artists will make sure, I do, if you see me use this technique in one of my time lapses, those images come from a website called Pexels. Alright, 99% of the time. There's a couple other like royalty-free images out there that you can use. But I use Pexels like 99% of the time because they got a good library and it's entirely royalty-free. Most of us digital artists that like actually have our heads on straight know that we can't use copyrighted images. So we take these images like textures and backgrounds. It's usually for like textures and backgrounds, that kind of thing. And we put them in our images, but they are royalty-free, as in anybody can use them, right? Now, you could also pay for images if you want to, like, go to Adobe Stock or whatever, Envato, I think, you know? But, you know, I use Pexels because I'm cheap. Also, you could just take the photo your damn self, right? I got a camera right here. So, yeah, that's not quite the same as just stealing art and bashing it together. Anyway, going back to that, if I put this image of the Guiez Wallop mashup disaster piece up on Instagram or whatever and say I made it, there's going to be hundreds of people saying like, oh my god, you stole art, you piece of fucking shit. Thirdly or secondly, where am I at? I don't know. Next point. These people are insanely insensitive pieces of shit. Okay? Kim Jong-gi, one of the most skilled artists of our generation, tragically passed away. I think he was only in his 40s. 2 years ago, I think now? Wow, I can't believe it's been 2 years. Rest in peace, man. This guy was something else. You gotta check him out if you haven't seen him. See the way he draws, just like, it's like magic. AI could never. Before the body was even cold, Some AI art bro decided to build a database of his images and say like, wow, look at me, I made a Kim Jong-gi AI art generator. And he had the f***ing gall to say that, if you repost images for me, make sure you credit me. The guy ain't even buried yet. Jesus Christ. I think cremated. I think Koreans cremate. I think it's like cultural. But whatever. Like, wow. You fucking shitbag. Alright, another common thing these AI art bros say is that it's a tool. You should use it like Photoshop or a digital tablet or a ruler. Yeah, okay. You know, just because a tool lets you do things doesn't mean it's a good thing. Like, for instance, a crowbar is a tool. Sure, you could use it to pry doors open and bash people's heads in, but, you know, it's a tool. Propaganda is a tool. Convinces people to turn to extremism. Something that Jazz's brother knows a lot about. I would post a screenshot of a particular tweet, but it was deleted before I could screen cap it. And I will talk about it later in the video, but oh my god, it was the most brain dead thing I have ever seen in my entire life. You know what I mean? Just because it's a tool doesn't mean you should use it. You know, like a rocket launcher is a tool. You can use a rocket launcher? Just because it's a tool doesn't mean it can't be used in a negative way, as is AI art, which steals. It's stealing. You're a thief. Another common thing that I see a lot of these AI art bros say that, like, makes my skin crawl, like, ugh, is they say it democratizes art, as in, like, we wouldn't be able to make art without it. First of all, I follow this artist on Instagram that was born with no hands, and she, like, does these cool abstract paintings. I'll put it over here, right? But you need a computer to do everything for you? Also, democratizes art, huh? Let's see, this pencil was pretty much free in the sketchbook. Well, this is a little bit of a nicer sketchbook, but you can find one for like $5. Here you go. Here you go. Fucking democratized. Retards. I'm leaving that in. We're getting a hard R in here. One thing that I think might be a bit of a silver lining is they also say that artists are extortionate for charging money for commissions, you know, for their art work. Okay, and listen, maybe this is a bit of a silver lining because I don't know about you guys. When I used to do commissions, there were some people that would ask me to do something that was clearly going to take a very long time. You know, like, can I get like 5 figures and this complex background and this action scene, and I want like 5 revisions. Oh, what? You want X amount of dollars? How about like $5? Like, those people, they're just gonna go to AI, so you don't have to deal with them anymore. So maybe that's a bit of a silver lining. That's another one that kind of bugs me, but you know what? Fuck them. It's alright, we don't need them, alright? People that like art are always going to support human artists, alright? I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the whole profitability of art because of AI art, okay? What I don't like is the behavior of these people, okay? You can make your shitty, unnaturally shiny, weird-looking AI art till the cows come home, okay? But the thing that bothers me is how you're a fucking arrogant prick, okay? Another thing they like to say is that I am an artist, like this Jazz's brother here. He has shown some of his drawing in a previous video where he was talking about how he likes AI art and the use of it, and how he considers it a skill. You know, so is like using Microsoft Excel. That's a skill. Nobody cares. Secondly, if you feel the need to constantly shout you are something, you're probably not that thing. Andrew Tate, always yelling, I'm an alpha male, is a fucking beta cuck. Come on, man. You're out here yelling, I'm an alpha male, but you all turned out to be cucks? Really? How does that work, buddy? You know what I mean? You feel the need to constantly shout you are something, you probably are not that thing. Alright, and one more thing that bugs me is the whole constant flip-flop between like, oh, AI art is so great because that means anyone can do it. And then they go and say like, it was not easy. Oh, it was so hard to do this. But then they go, oh, it democratizes art. Like, one or the other, buddy. Pick a side. Anyway, let's get on to the severe problems with AI art and just AI technology in general. Recently, a generations-long conflict has heated up, so to speak. Now, I'm not going to comment on this particular geopolitical conflict because, well, let's just say I don't want to divide people. My particular view on this one thing, I think if you guys pay attention to the news, you know what I'm talking about. My particular view on this thing is that people dying is bad, and if you have conflicts with people, you should try to resolve them as peacefully and non-violently as possible. Okay? I'm definitely towing the line right here. He's trying so hard not to get canceled. That thing is happening. Now, I remember one specific image I saw. I'm sorry for talking so slowly, but I gotta be careful of my words with this particular thing for a multitude of reasons. Horrible thing that's happening between these two nations, I guess you could say, has its fair share of propaganda, okay, on both sides. This is a fact. This happens with every single one of these geopolitical conflicts. There was an image of a horrifying image of a small child who was unfortunately, I don't know what the right word is, disintegrated. It was a horrible image, but the worst part was this image was, I don't know who did it to who, so this image was taken by one of these AI art bros for the sake of their own political leanings, whatever they may be, and replaced the poor child with a dog and made it appear as if it was some vets doing a checkup. And then people were saying that the original image was AI generated, but it turned out the image with the dog was the AI generated image, and the image of the unfortunate victim was the real one. So that's gonna push things in a certain direction, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Okay, so it can be used for nefarious purposes, and there's also deep fakes, which can be used in a negative way. Now, of course, the majority of uses of deep fakes right now are quite comedic, but there's also some issues with that, where you can put somebody that's a prominent figure or a political person and, you know, make them do bad things. It's literally the plot of Running Man. You guys ever see that movie? It's a great Arnold movie. A little bit of that 80s cheese, but it's a good movie. I like that one. It's one of my favorites. Probably my favorite Arnold. I don't know. Maybe Jingle All the Way. Predator's a masterpiece, though. What is the best Arnold movie? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, so deep fakes are another issue that we got to talk about. It happened to, I think it was Joe Rogan, right? Whether you like the guy or not, there was this use of his likeness in a deep fake advertisement for boner pills or something. I don't remember. Boner pills, testosterone, who cares, whatever. But yeah, and he had to come out and be like, whoa, that's AI generated. How did so many people fall for it? So, you know, there's something about deep fakes that's like a little bit dystopian and worrying. As much as I am not a fan of the current administration, I'm glad that they're finally talking about doing some legislation around this technology. There's also an incident that happened with some streamers. I hate streamers. I hate Twitch. I hate everybody in the Twitch ecosystem. I think they're all scumbags, especially this one. Like, I don't understand why she still has a career. Thing is, she's not the problem. Her simps are, but that's not what I'm talking about. There was an incident where some streamer was watching AI-generated adult content of another streamer's girlfriend. I'll put the names on screen. I gotta double check this because I don't like streamers. I don't watch streamers. I think Twitch is cancer. I'll put the whole thing on screen over here somewhere. But yeah, so there is AI-generated adult content of people that never consented to doing that kind of thing. Firstly, I don't really care if it exists, you know, or if somebody wants to consensually go into that, all right? I'm somewhat of a degenerate myself. Look, man, if you don't want to go into that kind of thing, and you don't want that content made of you, yeah, that's a little fucked up that people would AI generate that. Like, it's kind of depraved, actually. That's not something you do to somebody. That's fucked up. That is fucked up. I think that's even worse than the Kim Jong-gi thing. These are the key issues I have with AI art and AI technology in general that I think need to be addressed and we need to keep an eye out, especially with this whole geopolitical conflict that is happening in a certain part of the world that heated up recently and has the whole world divided. You know what I'm talking about, because I can't get a straight story out of this, I swear. I just cannot get the story straight. And like I said, look, my view was stop killing each other, try to work out a peaceful solution. I know, controversial take, crazy, right? Let's get back into something a little bit more lighter, or maybe concerning. So we got to talk about Jazz's brother here. So Jazz's brother used to make videos about medieval swords and history, and it was actually pretty good content. I actually watched some of it. It was pretty good stuff. And then he made a particular video about AI art and why he thinks it is superior to human-made art and all that stuff. And there's a really good video by a fellow art YouTuber called, I believe it was Deviant Raleigh. I'll put it on screen and link in the card in the description and all that good stuff. Give him a sub and all that, you know. But yeah, there was a good video by this guy breaking down why he was so wrong. But basically, he's becoming a bit of a lol cow at this point. Or I guess you could call it in that subcategory of art cow. If you're familiar with the story of Andrew Dobson, that's an art cow. Check out that video that Magic Mush just posted like a couple days ago. Good channel. I like that guy a lot. Give him some love. He's one of the upcoming YouTubers. Great content. Gives me old school mixed with new school vibes, you know? Yeah, he's becoming a bit of a lol cow, and he even went so far as to make a channel dedicated to AI art. So I didn't look at it. I just saw it, and I'm not going to talk about it yet. Yeah, this guy is losing his mind about the AI art because people are calling him out on his bullshit. First of all, the AI is actually making his images worse because he did show some of the artwork he did traditionally, or digitally, or just humanly, I guess is the word, humanly made artwork. You know, at least it had a style and a bit of like, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's somebody actually drawing and trying to develop a style and trying to make something. Whereas when he runs it through the AI art, it loses all of its like human touch and looks really artificial and has that gross sheen that all AI art has, and you know, it distorts like the perspective and the light and everything, and it's not good. People were calling him out on this, and he was losing his mind, and he said there's a vocal minority trying to quote unquote cancel me or whatever. Now recently it came out that he was conservative, you know, he has conservative views on things, which is fine by me. I don't really care if you lean one way or the other. Hell, I probably agree with the guy on a few things. But the thing is, he made a tweet that was deleted that I wish I screenshotted. Oh my god, it was like even worse than the one at the start of the video where he basically compared the people that were saying why AI art is bad, like objectively why it was bad, you know, the poor technology, the stolen artwork, the AI art bros being pretentious that I've been talking about in this whole video were a vocal minority of people that just can't accept the future. They like to say it's the future. They like to say, like, AI art is the future. You can't stop it, mate. I can't do Australian accents. But, yeah, so we're NFTs. How's your Bored Ape collection doing, buddy? He did this tweet where he compared the AI art deniers to the radical leftist. It was this terrible tweet with, like, soy jack memes. It was so bad. It was so bad. I really wish I screenshotted it. Oh my god, it was such a bad tweet. He was comparing these people to the radical left that, you know, try to cancel people when they don't like them. Which, to be fair, you know, the hard left, you know, like on Twitter and TikTok 24/7 hard left, you know, those kinds of hard leftists, like, yeah, they do have a habit of being, like, cry bullies and canceling people over nothing. But this one, bro, this ain't it. Like, you are objectively stealing artwork. You're claiming that AI art is so great when I just pointed out, like, 17 things wrong with the image you posted at first. You're a pretentious prick for being like, I am an artist. Oh, look at me type my prompts. Like, shut up. Hey guys, Editor John here. I just also want to say that as his brother also made a follow-up to the original tweet at the start of this video, another Braindead take where basically he compared his AI-generated art that he called his AI-assisted art, where actually it's an amalgamation of images that you don't own the copyright to that were bashed together to make this really shitty looking shiny render. Compared that to modern Marvel comics. There is something to be said about the state of modern comics, especially in the big two, and that's a different topic for a different video. And yes, the images that he cherry-picked, which were cherry-picked by the way, were quite bad, alright, pretty infamous. However, I will add that this almost comes off as a bit of a superiority complex in that you can't face the facts that people that are calling him out on his bullshit are right. Listen, man, when there are a ton of people telling you that you are in the wrong on something, maybe it's time to take a reflection and look at yourself and say like, oh yeah, maybe I did fuck up here. Listen, it happened to me. Recently, my most recent video, I was doing the monochromatic series where I do one color pieces, right? I did the yellow video, and that video got a high amount of dislikes. Now, I have a pretty small audience, so I don't know. Could be trolls, could be people not liking a different approach I took in that video. I did take a different approach. I actually used mostly off the screen recording, right, rather than screen capture. And, you know, I'm probably not going to do that again because, guess what, the reception was quite negative. You know, sometimes when people are all calling you out on your bullshit, you got to be like, man, this is some bullshit I'm on. That's some humility, bro. Yeah, and it's sort of an echo chamber because whenever I go down into the AI art bro section, I'm not sure if it's people trolling him or not. I don't know. He's like the first AI art wildcat. Like, he needs to stop. All right? You're in trouble, buddy. And yeah, I saw another tweet a little while back about somebody that took Nighthawks, which is a classic painting. I love that painting. I've seen it in person. It's beautiful. Like, I stared at it for a solid, like, 20 minutes. The atmosphere, the scale, too. You can't even compare it to the scale, like a JPEG and, like, a live image, you know, of the big piece. Where he ran it through AI and was like, oh, look at how much better it is. And, like, everybody in the comments was like, either like taking the bait or being like, this is a troll, isn't it? And I couldn't tell the difference. AI art bros, insufferable pricks. And now there's probably gonna be some AI art bros there being like, well, bro, can you do any better? Can I do any better? Okay. Guess what? This is a drawing video now. Here we have the piece of AI-generated content that Jazz's brother made. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this and redraw it, you know, with human hands. Actually, I just noticed something that I didn't notice before. This looks like some kind of school gym, but the windows look like a cathedral. Yeah, it's like a basketball hoop over there, so I thought it was a school gym, but how I'm looking at these windows do not look like school windows. Like, what's going on here, actually? This looks like church windows. Didn't notice that before. Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually do a fixing art video. I know, we don't like the art fixers, but this isn't art. This is AI content. Alright, so what we're going to do is correct the mistakes of the AI and show that humans are in fact superior. Okay? Maybe I'm not superior, but I think humans are superior than AI and always will be. But here's the first thing we gotta do. We gotta fix this anatomy. This anatomy is all over the place, right? Alright? Especially this leg over here on the right. This one's wacky too. Like, I don't know what's going on with the thighs here. It's like, this leg is longer than that one, and there's no pelvic bone, but this leg is pretty much broken. Okay. Yeah, this one looks a little bit off too somehow. I don't know, we'll figure this out. We'll try to go for a little bit of a more dynamic view of this. We'll try to keep it true to the original intent, right? Obviously, we're going to tone down the definition on this collarbone because, like, what the fuck is that? I'm not sure what's happening here. Like, the breasts, like, they're like, there's like boob pockets in her shirt. I mean, the design is really uninspired and kind of generic. Like a Japanese schoolgirl with sword slaying, Western dragon in gym, church, big breast. Is that what you typed in? You know, okay, we can give her a big breast, I guess. That's fine. I'm a fan of drawing big breasts. You guys see my content? We're going to definitely make this creature design a little bit better. And we're going to fix this depth of field problem. Because everything looks blurry. Like, there's no focus here. This will gradually fade into a blur. And this edge over here would probably be more in focus. That would create more depth. Right? And obviously the blood splatter is like... This blood spatter is like... I've seen better stuff on a DeviantArt fetish page. The sword size... the sword is bigger than she is, so I don't know how she'd carry it around. I mean, you could have a big-ass sword, but if you look at Guts from Berserk, he's bigger than the Dragon Slayer, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to wield something that is bigger than you are. And this lighting, it's just weird, man. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It's that AI sheen, right? What else? What else we gotta fix? That ribbon's off. We'll definitely fix the flow of the fabric. This looks like really stiff. It doesn't have enough flow to it. Let's see. What else we got going on here? The hair is like weird edges. There's a lot of weird edges. I noticed this with a lot of AI art is like there's this like weird artifacting on the edges of things. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. You see that like aliasing? That's not aliasing. That's like, oh, there's a word for that, where like the color goes over the edge. It's not aliasing. Aliasing was the Jaggies, right? That's aliasing. Yeah, this arm is actually, this arm looks longer than the other one, too. Alright, well, we're just gonna go for it. I just kind of wanted to go over what, like, was up with this and why I needed, quote-unquote, repairing. I wouldn't call it fixing, I would call it repairing, just to show that humans are superior every time, you know, and that I can do better than AI, and most artists can. So we'll keep the uniform, and we'll keep the green Western dragon. I'll even do the weird gym church thing in the background. That's really weird. Honestly, the more I look at the background, the weirder it becomes. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so I just wanted to add a few things here in voiceover in this last part here. Some people may think this video is coming off as a little bit like mean-spirited or maybe like an attack on a particular individual, but the thing is, I am not necessarily attacking AI art. It's just the general demeanor and behavior of the people that use it frequently. Okay, now the majority of people that have used AI art use it to make like shitpost memes. Okay, everybody likes the one of Drake sniffing the pie. That one's my favorite. That's a funny image, right? But these people that act like they're like the greatest gift to the world because AI art makes everything so much better, you know, get under my skin because they have a really arrogant demeanor to them. You know what I mean? This isn't necessarily about the quality of the things that they put out. It's their behavior that I don't like. Okay? And on the other point of this feeling like a personal attack on somebody, perhaps Jazz's brother, which, you know, who inspired me to make this video in the first place. Trust me, this video is not as mean-spirited as some of the other videos I've seen on him. I don't know the whole drama behind him. I've only seen some of his videos before he started talking about AI art stuff, okay? Don't go harass people, okay? That's a disclaimer. I put that in the video. Okay, so this isn't necessarily a personal attack on one particular individual. It's just this mentality that just bugs me and most rational thinking artists, okay? That's what this video is really about. Anyway, as we get into this, my general process for doing this image, which is probably what you guys are thinking when you're watching this, was I wanted to try to stay as faithful to this conception that Jazz's brother had, right? And sort of keep the same whole general vibe. I fixed the anatomy to the best of my ability, but I do think it's still a little bit jank in some places. You know, I actually make a comic. If you don't know, if this is my first video you're coming across, and I struggle with anatomy constantly. You know, it's like, it's a tough thing to learn. It's a tough thing to get perfect, you know? Not everybody's cut out for it. You know, it's like perspective. You know, some people just can't get perspective right, like me. But, you know, I'm always trying to improve, you know, try to increase my skills, you know, the old-fashioned way. You know what I mean? That's another thing that bothered me about some of the tweets that Jazz's brothers made, was that he said that his skills were increasing using AI art. Basically, a good analogy for that is he's basically using steroids, okay? So, you want to build muscle, you go lift weights and eat properly, right? Or, you could just inject steroids, and you get that weird artificial, like, Sam Sulek look, right? And, you know, one is obviously better than the other, and objectively always will be, okay? Sometimes it's just better to do things the old-fashioned way. So I try to keep this piece as true as possible. I've also adjusted some things. I made the character a bit older because this character looks kind of young in the images that Jazz's brother posted. And yeah, I'm not really gonna... There's some things that I'm learning as I make this video that might warrant a sequel. And not necessarily about AI art bros, but, you know, that's probably for the second channel. I don't know. It's been a while since I posted over there, but this one might have something to do completely unrelated to art. Anyway, yeah, so I aged up this character a little bit to be appropriate looking. I don't know. And, you know, I kept that Japanese schoolgirl uniform that's extremely generic, even though, like... I don't know. I saw somebody on a different video commenting on these AI art bros saying that Jazz's brother's waifu here is a libertarian's wet dream, which is hilarious. I mean, hey, us artists all have our waifus that we draw, right? How many frickin' drawings of Anna from Doomsayer have I done? Like, a lot. If you look like that, by the way, DM's open. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. That's dangerous. Okay. I don't want to get involved in any kind of scandals. Please don't send DMs. Anyway, where was I? Yes, the piece, I tried to get a more appropriate lighting source going on because the light kind of looked all over the place. And again, it gave it that sort of artificial sheen that you see in a lot of AI artworks. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely satisfied, but then again, the source material that I was recreating wasn't like mind-blowing or anything. I don't know. I probably could have spent a little bit more time on the dragon and a little bit more rendered time on the background, but I did end up blurring most of it because, you know, I gave it that depth of field effect. So I just wanted to show that a human can make this thing that Jazz's brother said, like, oh, you can only make it with AI art, right? So, let me know in the comments if I did a better job. I still think some of the anatomy, especially the 1 foot, looks a little jank. And, like, there's definitely issues, like there always is with every piece I make. You know, there's always that constant, gotta keep improving cycle. But, yeah, let me know in the comments below. And don't harass people, okay? Do not harass people. This is not a personal attack. This is a criticism of behaviors of a group of individuals. Individuals? No, that's not the right word. A monolith. This is a criticism of a monolith of ignorance. Okay? That's what this video is. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Traditional artists throw shit at canvas randomly until it looks like shit. Look at me, who will not be able to comprehend the complexity of the scene, the intricate soul I put in this stroke, which I drew using a brush made from pubic hairs of a virgin. AI, throw shit at canvas randomly, keck. If I shake it around, it look horse, the spacesuit shakes exponentially. Traditional artists, no, you can't throw shit at canvas randomly. Only I can do it. Here's a pen. I understand that concept of people having a life might be difficult to grasp to the true artist without anything resembling a normal life, but try to imagine this. Warning, it requires creativity, something that majority artists lack. Ironically, not everyone has time to draw hundreds of heads in different angles until it stops looking bad. Can you imagine these idiots working 12 hours a day still want to have art they want? How dare they? This must not happen. We must gatekeep them. Fun? Not allowed. They deserve no art unless they invest as much time as I did. Reading books for fun, unless it's Loomis, it is not fun. These people deserve to suffer, not like you or me. We lucked and learned to draw. So now when we are adults working 12 hours job, we can spit at these peasants. Yes, the art is not the painting itself. Drawing is not the art. Art is the skill which separates us, high society, from these plebs. Art is what allows us to look from high horse above to everyone else. If we democratize it and even a child can get an image they want, are we not special like we were telling to each other all these years? Cries. What? As someone who has hobby both in deep learning, though not image gen, and drawing, seething of artists is fun. Learning was not fun. I am extremely glad artists eat what they sawed. Disregard and lack of empathy. I think I just got brain damage. And this guy says, you give on the same energy of the lanky dude with the beer gut who refuses to eat well and exercises, but still thinks everyone should find his body hot. That was certainly a comment, yeah. Let's get into it. Well, y'all proved me right about the essays point I made. God, I love that comment. That is such a good comment. The massive grammatical errors, the typos, the rage, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, everybody, first of all, thank you for the recent support. The growth of this channel in the past couple of days has been absolutely insane, so let me just say thank you for that. The reason my channel grew is because I made a video on AI art bros, and they left quite a few comments, either defending, debating, or just yelling at me. So we're gonna go through them, and we're gonna look at some funny comments, we're going to look at some angry comments, and we're going to look at comments that actually, you know, it's a pretty decent debate. You know, we'll debate back. Just before we get into it, thank you for all the recent support. Now, we're going to go through and read all these comments and, you know, give my retorts as well as additional information that I neglected to mention in the first video. Before we do that, I just want to issue a correction. I did say that some of these AI image generators do charge after a while, which they do, but I did happen to say stability diffusion charges, which they do not charge. They do not charge, so, you know, I guess that makes it better. Alright, before we begin, I just want to get one elephant out of the room. The recreated art that I did in that video was not very good, okay? I agree that some of the artwork did look a little bit, the anatomy looked a little, you know, masculine, and the perspective was a little off. I could have put a little bit more time and effort into it, but part of the issue was that it was a recreation where, let's just say the composition wasn't up to reference standpoint. So let's just begin and start reading through these comments. I also love this comment right here. Love you, trans woman art. That's really funny. Okay. I think that's a hilarious comment.
I agree with you on almost everything, but come on, man. You need better art than that if you want to prove them wrong.
And you're absolutely right about that. I really do not like the way that piece came out. But then again, unless it was the recreation, I probably wouldn't have designed a scene like that.
Hey, at the end of the video, you asked for your opinion, so I hope you don't mind my comment. Try to make the brush size way larger and lighter during the basic composition sketch, and as you clean up and add detail, you make it smaller and darker and play around with line weight. Also use a doll or 3D model as a pose if you can't find a reference or make one. I usually use my brother as model. Her head came out a little big and manly, which it did. I'm new to your work, so that might be your style. And you could have gone darker with the shading on the dragon monster thing on the foreground, but still way better than Jazz's brother AI stolen art vomit.
I want to go so far as to call it vomit, but yeah, I do appreciate this feedback. I like comments like this. You know, that's the reason I started putting art online, is I want feedback. I want to get better, you know? I like critiques like this, and I did reply to this person. Oh, I've never once in my entire life grabbed a random texture off of Google and used it in an image. Never. Nope, not me. Ha 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 ha. Cope.
In summary, this is a video made because you hate generated pictures and someone made you angry by expressing his opinions, which you consider to be from a brainless person.
Not angry, irritated. It was really the, like, narcissism that bothered me. And I hope my video didn't come off as, like, I got a superiority complex or something like that. It's just that the whole, like, oh, I'm an artist kind of vibes that Jazz's brother's videos and tweets came off as.
Saying humans will always be superior to AI is a cope. Also, you're looking through the lens of a niche. Saying someone who acknowledges themselves as some state like alpha male isn't what they state is a shaming tactic. Just because it's true for some cases doesn't make it true for all cases. You assume everyone has to be humble about their abilities by not talking about it outright, or else they don't have those abilities. Was Newton humble as an example? Of course not. He was high in narcissism. Does it make him not a genius now? Of course not, because words don't automatically invalidate abilities.
First of all, if anybody actually goes around unironically going like, oh, I'm an alpha male, I'm the top 10% of men, oh, I got over 1,000 bodies, you know, you should absolutely fucking shame them. Man, these takes are brain dead. Wow, that is such a great comment. I love it. I love it. It's so good. Such a great counterpoint to my video. You didn't even come up with it yourself. You just took the title of the video and just flipped it over on me. Typical AI, bro. AI are better, lol. You're so mean. What do you guys think? Better than Hassan's crying? Like I said before, I don't think my recreation was all that good. So if you did like the original AI art better, it's fine. Cope all you can, lol. So a lot of these comments are saying cope, like this video is a cope. It's not really a cope, it's more of a call out on the behaviors of the AI bros, okay? Because you're being dicks, alright? You can make your AI generated images, you can try to make them better, that's fine. I'm still gonna make art the old-fashioned way, and so are thousands of people that watch this video, okay? And even in the comments, I saw some people saying, like, this video makes me want to actually draw more. So if I could do that, mission accomplished, you know? You can call it a cope, but I think your comments on those videos are a cope. So let's move on.
You know when there's a hobby you like but it goes trending and the normies basically ruin it? That's how I feel about AI art, as someone who loves drawing even if not skilled at it.
Yeah, I mean, I did reply to this about how I don't think gatekeeping is, like, necessarily what we should do. So people say that I'm gatekeeping art, or these artists that are against this theft of intellectual property are gatekeeping art. I'm not gatekeeping art. Nobody's gatekeeping art, Again, pick up a pen or pencil. Get to work, Nobody's stopping you, except for yourself, honestly. I'm not going to say that there aren't some artists out there that want to gatekeep things, but the issue is that you think everything belongs to you, okay? Like that you're owed the world, which is kind of funny because that's sort of like a bit of a socialist mentality, and aren't you guys usually more right-wing? I mean, I don't know, it's funny. The politics is bizarre, honestly. It's weird. It's all over the board. Maybe this will unite us, huh? Alright. But the thing is, like, you're not entitled to another person's work. Do you not get this? Do you not understand? You go work a job, guess what? Your boss has to pay you. Okay? It's illegal to make somebody work for you and not pay them. Do you not get this? That you're operating on stolen labor. I don't know. It's like, no matter how many times I say it, like, it's not going to work. You can lead a horse to water. You can't get it to drink. Alright, let's move along. I want to talk about something that happened in the past in terms of stolen artwork, and that would be the Aaron Carter incident. Okay? So, rest in peace. He unfortunately died quite young. He had a lot of problems. I kind of feel a little bad for the guy, but I don't know. He had a bit of a hard life. Okay? But yeah. Let's talk about the Aaron Carter incident. So basically, this guy, Aaron Carter, he was related, I Want Candy, remember that? Any of you older folks in the comments section remember that? So Aaron Carter stole somebody's artwork to put on his merchandise to sell, and basically he got called out for it, and everybody literally was in agreement that he stole the artwork and he was in the wrong. He proceeded to make a very bad bullshit argument that if you put it out there, it's anybody's to use, which is not true at all. Like, that is such a smooth brain take. Basically, what happened was he had to stop making this merch because he was infringing on copyrighted content, right? Because in terms of intellectual property, if you make it, you own it, right? That's the basis of it. I'll put more information on screen about that. So, if you take an image and you put it on your things to sell that you don't own the copyrights to, you're infringing on copyrights and you will get a cease and desist. Now, AI art bros like to say, well, the thing is, it takes all of these different images, right, and make something new, so therefore, I should be allowed to use it in terms of selling stuff. We gotta get back to the people that sell AI artwork here. Alright, so the thing is, you didn't make anything. The technology did. Once again, if anyone is an artist in the equation, it is the programmer. You're taking a bunch of copyrighted content, putting it together to make it unrecognizable from the source material, or recognizable in some cases, and you think that just because it's out there, it belongs to you. This is a matter of entitlement. You are entitled to nothing, my friend, okay? Listen. Listen.
Look here! Look, listen!
You take your entitlement and shove it up your ass because you are entitled to nothing in this world, okay?
These AI bros are just the NFT/crypto/ape/blockchain whatever tech bro people come back for around 1 billion. They're gonna get bored soon and try something else. On the more fascinating side, I feel the algorithms responsible for AI art are more reminiscent of memory recollection than of actual art. I have minor issues with AI art and its sourcing, but Jesus goddamn Christ, AI artists are the biggest source of terrible content and annoyances, like NFT bros on crack. And I commented a silly meme down there, so you can read that. It seems like some of the worst AI bros are actually failed crypto bros that want to take revenge on the artists for not producing more NFTs and recoup their losses.
Pretty much. They all had their origin as crypto bros.
As someone who's never used an AI art generator, I had no idea they eventually start charging the users. Isn't the goal for these AI bros to make money? They'll never get rich if they keep putting money into an AI slot machine.
Alright, now we gotta address something very, very important. Scammers in the AI art bro community. There are people that are actually selling courses in prompting. Can you believe that? The thing about these scammers is some of them are trying to sell you courses that teach you how to prompt. I'm like, dude, it's called a thesaurus. And it probably costs way less, which is insane, honestly. And then there are people that are selling AI-generated artwork, and the thing is, some of them aren't disclosing that it's AI-generated, and we all know why, because as soon as it's AI-generated, it already gets devalued, because you know it's a culmination of content that they didn't have the copyrights to, as in modern-age digital bootlegging. You want to sell your shitty digital art, do so, but I think you should disclose that, okay? That's just my moral beliefs on that, but, you know, you can be a dick. That's fine. There's no law against being a dick. And there's no law against me calling you out for being a dick, okay? So, yeah, that's a little scummy, right? That's a scummy behavior. You're just like the NFT bros that stole people's arts to mint NFTs to get some crypto scam going. Anyway, moving along.
As someone who has put effort in my art since I was very young, I find the concept of AI art very weird. Actual art contains a human element. Artists put in years upon years perfecting their craft, and a computer just can't replace that skill. Typing words into a generator for a couple minutes to get a half-decent product with a stolen art style will usually never compare to years of sweat, tears, and hand cramping to eventually create good art. With all that aside, great video. Thank you for that.
I'm on Twitter the other day, right? And, you know, like, you've come across, like, some of those random news sites that'll just pop up in your feed. And there's this one feed that did a post that was, happy birthday to Scarlett Johansson, the actor, right? Black Widow. I liked her in Under the Skin. You guys ever see that movie? That movie is awesome. And the image itself is an AI-generated lewd of Scarlett Johansson, right? In, like, her underwear. But the thing is, like, you could tell, like, wait, hold on. It gives you immediately Uncanny Valley vibes. The problem is, why are you AI generating that? You could have just went to Google and grabbed the first image, right? Like, why do you need to make this image, right? Yeah, why are you AI generating things that don't even need to be AI generated? It would have been so much easier to just grab an image off of Google.
Something people like this fail to understand is AI art is in its extreme infancy. It's the same argument musicians use for DJs. They use a mixing board to combine samples from existing musicians to create new work, so of course they are not as good as me, a real musician. I am somehow better, and my genius cannot be quantified. Listen.
Periods are your friend. You should use them more. Or use a M dash or a semicolon. Jesus.
Human-made art will never go away, but make no mistake, AI art cannot be stopped and will continue to improve. There will be talented people who will be able to manipulate prompts and create amazing art indistinguishable from your average artist. Stop letting your ego get in the way. 99% of artists don't make anything new or special in the same way that 99% of AI-generated art isn't exactly special. Right now, it's trash in, trash out, but it won't always be. You seem to think that you went through a learning process that isn't formulaic, and because you are special, it cannot be duplicated by clever code. It's this kind of thinking that will eventually make you obsolete, doing mediocre sketches for your grandkids while muttering how much better the old days were before pesky computers. And somebody replied, oof, someone's triggered.
Let me talk about that one sampling comment here. Okay, so this is a pretty solid argument. I wouldn't say this isn't an argument I haven't seen before, but I think it's a pretty solid argument. But the thing is, with music copyright, that's sort of on a case-by-case basis, and a lot of times these producers that, like, get their stuff, like, you know, out there, bigger ones, right? Like those big record labels, it's sort of a case-by-case basis, but usually they get the copyright from the content that they're sampling. There's a little bit more to that, but that's not really what this video was about, okay?
I think it's silly to compare AI skill to traditional art skill. Yes, some methods of AI are more skill-based than others. Using ControlNet with Stable Diffusion with A1111 is more skill-based than prompt writing, but it pales in comparison to learning to draw realistically from imagination traditionally. You can get realistic results from AI in less than a day. Do that from imagination traditionally, and it'll take years, if not decades, of practice, and even then, only 0.01% of those artists actually get good at it. Not true. I will address that as soon as I'm done reading this comment. Also, AI isn't really meant to be difficult. The entire point of its existence is to make things as easy and accessible as possible. If it was just as hard, no one would be using it, as they might as well just learn to draw then. My biggest problem with artists versus AI users is in the mindset. Artists tend to be inspired by those they look up to, but entire AI communities use AI for the sole purpose of mocking the artist. Many of them just despise artists as a whole and don't really use AI because they themselves are inspired. They use it for the sole purpose of mocking artists. An example is Kim Jong-gi after he died, or Sam Does Arts, which I will be addressing in this video. I did not mention that one incident in the previous video. I will be talking about that. Follow subreddits for charcoal, graphite, oil, acrylic, watercolor, or digital painting. All I see is art and people who are inspired to learn to draw. It's all pretty positive. When I follow AI subreddits, half the posts that end up on my feed are people that just hate artists, mock them, or are just plain vicious in their mentality.
Which was the entire point of the video. Thank you, okay? Remember, I was addressing some of the issues with AI art, but the main point of the video was the behavior of the AI art bros, which I was trying to bring to light, okay? So recently, a big company, Disney, shut down, I believe it was a Microsoft AI. I'll put the article on screen if I can find it, and I'll link it in the description. But basically, because this particular AI generator could generate Pixar movie posters, I'm sure you've seen the memes, they're hilarious, okay? I think that's what AI should be used for. Disney shut them down because they're Disney. right? But the thing is, us, like, online artists, very small businesses, you know, we don't have that kind of power because we can't afford lawyers that good. We gotta talk about the Sam Does Arts incident. I'm not gonna talk about it, but basically the abridged version is somebody took a bunch of his artwork and trained an AI to generate artwork that infringes upon his copyright. I'll link to some video that probably broke it down way better.
Whether people are obnoxious about it or not, AI art will eventually replace human art. And I reply, doubt it? Good luck, buddy. You know?
And now he thinks I meant that serious. I mean, like, yeah, okay, good luck. I didn't mean, like, good luck, buddy. I mean, like, yeah, fucking good luck. You know? I guess tone can't come across in text. You think tone can come across in AI-generated content? I don't know about that. That's for you to debate in the comments.
Hey, I'm not the one working on it, and do you really want to wish him luck? Seems to go against your interests. By the way, don't know if you'll take my word for it, but I want to clear some things up about how image generation AI works. It's actually quite analogous to a human looking at things, learning what they are, and taking inspiration. There's that fucking word again. From that knowledge in your prompt. The AI doesn't have eyes, so it must be fed pairs of images and text descriptions. This is the training data, and learning from it is all the AI does. It doesn't take pieces from different images and mash them together. Calling it copyright infringement is like calling a human looking at copyright images.
So I pulled up this article from a, what do you call that, like a coding website, Alex Soft. Looks pretty legit, but let's see. Diffusion models, right? Like Stable Diffusion. It's literally in the name. One of the most popular AI generators out there. Diffusion models are a type of generative model in machine learning that create new data such as images or sounds by imitating the data they have been trained on. Do you not see this one right here? The data they have been trained on. Where are they getting that data? At what point do they get the consent of us artists to put our data into this? They accomplish this by applying a process similar to diffusion, hence the name. They progressively add noise to the data and learn how to reverse it to create new similar data, as in reverse engineering, which I believe is illegal in a lot of cases. Think of diffusion models as master chefs who learn to make dishes that taste just like the ones they've tried before. The chef tastes the dish, as in grabs an image, understands the ingredients, as in compares them to similar images, right? So let's say images of a dragon, right? Dragons are a very popular creature to draw, right? Everybody loves a good dragon. And then it takes those images, right? And then makes a new dish that tastes very similar, as it mashes it together to create a new image out of the stolen content. Similarly, diffusion models can generate data like images that are very much like the ones they've been trained on, because it takes pieces of that data that it doesn't have the rights to. Do you not get this? Those are the diffusion models. There are different models that use a different process, but the most popular one right now is literally called Stable Diffusion. I'm pretty sure that uses a diffusion model. Let's fact check that. Okay, architecture. Stable Diffusion uses a kind of diffusion model, DM, called a latent diffusion model developed by these people. I think I'm right on this one. I don't know. You can debate me in the comments, but where is it getting the data to train the diffusion models on? Stable Diffusion was trained on pairs of images and captions taken from Leon 5B, a publicly available dataset derived from common crawl data scraped from the web. Common crawl data scraped from the web, where 5 billion image text pairs were classified based on language. Leon 5B. Okay, let's look at that. Freely available dataset. In recent months, numerous lawsuits, news headlines, and protest letters have accused Leon and the companies that train on its dataset of massively infringing copyright. See, the thing is now, this dataset itself is in the courts, so we'll see how this goes. Honestly, this is still tied up in litigation. This technology is quite new, so we'll see who wins in the end. Oh wait, somebody went back at him that wasn't me. Okay, so let's see what they have to say. I've got no
clue as to what point you're actually trying to make, given how all over the place your comment is. That being said, being able to prompt draw me X in the style Y is definitely pushing the boundaries of some sort of copyright or theft laws.
That's right, it can't learn an art style without that artist's work, okay? So, someone like Sam Does Art, whose artwork was never cleared for these databases, had his work stolen. Somebody made an AI generative model of his work without his consent. Do you not get it? I feel like I'm XQC trying to explain to Pokimane why I took a $10 million deal. Are you fucking kidding me? Getting a little bit more heated in this one, but it's because, like, these replies are brain dead.
Shut up, man. We all get how they work, and you're not imparting some grand wisdom that will educate us lowly artist types to justify our theft. No, they don't learn like humans, and no, a company has no right to take, in bold, take, which they did, forcibly, as in stole, billions of images without consent and use them how they feel like, especially for profit. This is satire defense debunked a million times over. So much that it feels your statement may as well have been generated by AI. Educate yourself on how actual humans learn and create art. And the original poster went back. It would be if art styles could be copyrighted.
Which, that's a bit of a debate that we can have. Alright, and then somebody else goes back, or maybe one of the other replies goes back. Illegal or not, it's theft, so... Editor John here. I just want to admit something here is that the debate versus how a machine learns and how a human artist would use reference is probably the most reasonable argument these AI bros have. Now, I'm not going to totally give it to them, but I feel like it might be a matter of semantics. I am an artist, not a programmer, so my expertise is in creating art, not developing AI software. But I don't think a machine and a human learn the same way, even though I think the point of machine learning is to imitate human learning. It's not quite the same. There's room for a debate about how exactly reference is used and how exactly the machines learn. And a lot of it could come down to semantics, but I feel like they might actually have something here, so I don't know. This is up for debate, alright? So I'm just going to put this in here just to kind of give the AI bros one, alright? Like, alright, I can kind of hear you out on this one, but, you know, for the most part, it's like, it's not quite the same. This next comment is very, 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 very long. Like, insanely long. But there are some good points brought up, so bear with me and we're going to get through this. Yeah, this is going to be a long one, so strap in. I'm an artist who spent years to build his skills and also took time to learn how the AI tools work. Yeah? You took time to build your skills? Small spelling error meme. Alright, let's take this seriously. Maybe just made a typo.
The only reason I'm writing this is to point out to anyone watching this video every misinformation in the video to help people know the truth.
See this word right here? Misinformation? This word has so much context to it now. Ever since basically 2020, it's sort of evolved into one of those words that's been heavily politicized. Like, it used to be like, back in the day, like, I don't know, if you go back to the Obama years, the word racist was serious. Now anybody can call anybody a racist. Like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? The word misinformation has been heavily politicized, and that's actually something that AI probably wouldn't be able to understand because most of its databases are built upon factual things, right? Now, the word misinformation has political connotations to it, so grain of salt taken. Anyway, let's get into this comment.
No, 90% AI does not look like that. With the current models, it's actually difficult to get more bodies. 2 years ago, yes. Today, no. So I let that slide as a joke. Too simplified. It's not mashing up images. It's reconstructing images from random noise that were trained with pairs of an image and a text caption. You can train ethically, unethically, overtrain, or just train your own artworks. It's not pirated content if a regular artist downloads an image and uses it as a reference, but it is when AI is used. Nope. The laws for training AIs with copyrighted materials just didn't exist at that time because AI that advanced wasn't a thing yet. There are already a few countries like Japan that say it's illegal to use copyrighted images for training models.
Japan? Really? The copyright Nazis of the world? I'm going to have to fact check that one. AI-generated content cannot be copyrighted in Japan or the USA, right? So we want to add that in there. Even though the AI-generated content can be cleared to get copyrighted content to train their models, the content that it generates cannot be copyrighted. The UK right now is misinterpreting the wording in their law. That's a matter of semantics. And over in Australia, it hasn't gone to court yet. So that might be why Jazz's brother made that video.
Other countries are still defining the laws on it. In the end, it comes down to the user. An artist totally could trace an image and say they made it. Still happens to this day.
No, they can't, because there's massive backlash when you do that. When they find out that you trace something, you get canceled, okay? I don't mean cancel in like the political sense. I mean like you're sort of exiled from the art community, okay? If anybody finds out that you've been tracing art and passing it off as your own, okay, this is something you AI bros don't understand, okay? This is sort of like the unspoken rule. If you trace artwork for profit, you know, to sell or to claim as your own, you know, you can use tracing as like sort of to get an idea of how to draw things to practice, sure. But if you use it in the manner where you intend to sell it or pass it off as your own and you get found out, that's a big no-no, okay? That's a big no-no to us artists, okay? I'll give a specific example. Let's talk about Joe Rogan for a second. So Carlos Mencia used to be a very popular comedian. He had a Comedy Central TV show that, I remember I watched it a little bit back in the day, but he got found out that in his stand-up he was stealing jokes from many comics, and Joe Rogan literally approached him at a show on stage, and he confronted him about his stolen jokes. Eventually, Carlos Mencia's career nosedives, right? Because stealing shit you didn't make is not f***ing cool. Alright, I'm sorry to get a little heated here, but I don't think you guys are getting this. Whatever, you know, some people are just gonna hear what they want to hear.
It's the same as an AI tool using overtrained results and claiming they made it. May I remind you that one big YouTube artist who heavily referenced photos but did not credit the refs, same thing.
He's talking about the raw straws thing.
It really is a shame. Artists could have used this tech, e.g., I'm pretty sure it's IE now, I'm just saying, to create their own official LoRa's to sell their style as a plugin. Adobe Firefly does that, for example. They use Adobe stock images to train their models.
Okay, first of all, nobody uses Adobe Firefly. None of these AI bros are like, oh yeah, let me check out Adobe Firefly, because it's not as good as something like Stability Diffusion. Adobe stock images are user-generated content that you can post onto their database. They actually have to get approved by them, because I tried to put some stock images on there one time, way back, right? You got to get approved to be part of the collection of stock images that you have to pay for, by the way. It's a subscription-based service. And that Adobe Firefly came out and took those images in the stock library and put them into Adobe Firefly. Now, I'm going to fact check whether or not those photographers or illustrators got paid for that, so I'll just put that over here. Using any tool requires skill. It's not as simple as pushing a button. Any tool requires skill. Really? Let me ask you something. This mouse right here, how much skill does this require? You move it around and click it. Would you call that a skill? I don't think so. But that's just my thoughts on that matter. The whole point about AI being a skill, sure, it's a skill in the same way that Microsoft Excel is a skill. Where's that old meme from, like, Office Space? You remember that meme with Newman from Seinfeld? Where he's like, hey, look, he knows how to use Microsoft Excel. And he looks back, nobody cares, right? Same thing with AI art. Yeah, okay, I guess it's a skill in some way, but, like, it's a very light, non-intensive skill that you can pick up very, very, very shortly in the matter of a few keystrokes. You know, like I mentioned, the mouse example. Okay?
Yes, some charge money, but Stable Diffusion is completely free to use. If you have a good GPU, you can run it locally on your own PC. If not, you can use online services. There are a lot, which charge you for, though. A lot of businesses make use of free tech plus something new to make money with it. Why skip that part? It's the most important part. Goes back to the pirated point. Okay.
So he's talking about the part in the video where I briefly mentioned that when you pay for these services, I think you're technically aiding and abetting in piracy, but this really isn't my field of expertise, as I'm not a lawyer, okay? Now, if somebody with an attorney's license wants to leave a comment down there, I would really appreciate it. So let's move on.
Sheen that only AI art has. Bro, you just said it yourself a second ago. It's based on real art that has that sheen. AI just carries that over. I think you were just exposed to too much AI art that was created with the same few popular models.
Okay, so this part is in reference to the fact that I mentioned that the art looks shiny. There's like a certain sheen or shininess to all these AI-generated images, and I pointed out that it was probably drawn by like a certain homogenized art style that seemed to be popular in the industry. The thing is, with the AI-generated artwork, it gets this sort of uncanny valley look that's a little bit different than the images it's trained on. It's sort of it's kind of hard to explain unless, like, you've looked at a lot of art, okay? But I think the artists in the comments know what I mean. It's sort of like, it really is like uncanny valley is the best way to describe it.
Strong us versus them mentality. Not cool. There are shades of gray. It's not just black and white.
That is in reference to my opinions on AI art bros, which, you started it. So not to mention this whole us versus them mentality part of this comment is a lot of AI art bro cope. You're the one that's coping, buddy.
There are so many amazingly talented artists out there who don't become artists due to a lot of different reasons, one of which is that they don't enjoy doing art.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I think if you don't like doing something, you wouldn't do it, even if you have the skills to do it. I don't know. That's a philosophical debate.
Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you enjoy doing it. Yeah, but
the thing is, if you don't enjoy doing it and it's a completely optional thing, would you even do it to begin with? Like, the only reason I kept going on YouTube is because I like making YouTube videos. Like, I started out just like, maybe I could get, like, an audience and I could, like, put my art in front of people and, you know, make some cool videos. And, you know, over time it didn't really grow, and at a certain point I actually quit. But then I came back because I kind of liked making videos, and that's sort of why I came back. And let me follow up on that one point about artists that, you know, don't make it even though they're very talented. Talent is a bullshit word as much as inspiration is. That's just a word that likes to get thrown around to make bullshit excuses for people that don't want to actually put the work and effort in. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people that have a little bit more of a natural inclination into something, but you still gotta work on it. Look at someone like Jimi Hendrix, a guitar prodigy. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he didn't start off knowing, like, all the chords and everything the second he picked up a guitar, right?
And also, I'm not a fan of tying the word artist to one's profession. I'm a UX designer, but also an artist because I create works of art after work. It's a tool. The one using the tool holds the responsibility. Before AI, it was already possible to do illegal and unethical things with just Photoshop. about. And there are already absolutely unethical artists out there who draw and paint the worst things in existence. That's fair. Don't blame AI for that. Horrible stuff always existed. AI is just a new medium.
Okay, so I think he's in reference to the point that I was talking about how AI can be used to do horrible things. So here's the thing about the tool point. Once again, a little follow-up is that just because a tool exists doesn't mean it can't be used for bad purposes. In most states, it's illegal for sex offenders to own computers. Once you use the tools for heinous crimes, guess what? You're probably going to be banned from using them, right? Or unless you use them illegally. We're going to move on.
Democratizes. I'd rather say it's a new method of generating images that look like good artwork for people with no or low artistic skills. But that doesn't mean people with art skills can't benefit from it. I think it's artists who use AI in an ethical way will profit the most.
Listen, this isn't about profit. This whole video was not about profit or the controversies around AI art. I just wanted to shine a little light on some of the issues with AI technology and the horrible behaviors of these AI art bros. When I was doing research for this follow-up video, I came across a subreddit called r/artisthate, which exposes people that literally just hate artists. Usually, 99% of the time, are AI bros, okay? Okay, so here we are over on r/artisthate. I just wanted to take a look at it just to show you let's just filter out for just hate as in AI art bros being dicks. I love this one. I don't know why this is so crusty. Yeah, do you see all these replies to the PewDiePie incident? So, recently PewDiePie did a video where he basically set aside about 10 to 15 minutes a day to learn to draw, which was a cool video. I watched it. Alright, if you take out the equation that he was PewDiePie, he was just some guy that decided to spend a few 10, 15 minutes a day to draw, right? And, well, let's just say the response from the AI bros was not very kind. I'm going to actually insert a clip from a channel called Rev Says Desu, who is like one of those Twitter commentator people. You know what I mean? Where they go on Twitter, find a tweet, and be like, look at this moron. You know, whether you like the guy or not, I'm just going to edit in a couple of clips where he writes some quote retweets. I'll put that here.
A lot of people made observations like this quote retweet right here saying, AI bros when they see a pencil with a picture of Papa Franco here. Yes, this tweet in PewDiePie's video got a lot of AI enthusiasts very, very angry. Hitler was an artist. That's proof enough that AI art is the correct line. Here's another one saying, anti-AI chuds romanticize the idea of the struggling artist like it's their whole personality trait, yet their poster child of relatability is a guy with no struggles. Funniest stuff. Now, this user does not know anything about PewDiePie's life where they can say he has no struggles. You don't know him like that. You don't know what's going on in his life. But this idea that PewDiePie cannot be the face of this video's message because he's wealthy and successful is ridiculous. Here's another one, this quote starting off saying, an internet celebrity with about as much free time one could have draws every day, so can you, is not the argument I would use personally. Here's another one saying, am I going crazy? Did everyone just forget this guy is a Nazi because he drew anime woman instead of typing a prompt? Here's another person saying, Hitler finally learns art.
So yeah, the whole PewDiePie incident was definitely made AI bros appear even worse. Here we go. Here's something that I can actually read. Jeez. This one says, all these anti-AI people just make me appreciate AI art more. It's like the opposite of what they want to happen. It's like the anti-AI argument turned from a debate to a toxic hissy fit, with the sole argument being AI art bad, human art good. It's not that simple. It's become so blatantly obvious that I just don't care about their arguments anymore. I would if they actually made sense, but unfortunately they don't. Look, man, you can make your AI art. That's totally fine by me, alright? I don't think it looks very good, and there are some ethical and legal issues with it. My problem is your behavior, okay? The entire point of the video was this sort of anti-artist or even anti-humanist, I guess you could say, rhetoric that you were spewing, okay? That was the main point. And then you go around and say, like, I created this masterpiece, but it looks like shit, okay? That was another point. It was like, oh, look how much better AI art is, when objectively, in a lot of cases, it isn't. Oh, yeah, and this guy follows it up, I believe. It goes a step further. Because of their behavior, I actively want to see them lose. Okay, well, You started it. I don't want to see you lose. I just want to see you go away, okay? Like, you're annoying. Get out. Go in your own little dark corners of the internet, alright? Where you, like, make 500 videos about ugly female characters in video games, alright? And, like, look, man, I appreciate it when women are hot, too, but, like, making 500,000 videos about poor character modeling in modern Western games, like, dude, like, get a life. Like, come on. Play Japanese, like I do. After seeing these so-called wannabe artists dogpiling. They like that word dogpiling, don't people who use AI art and throwing death threats and doxings, etc. Listen, guys, don't send death threats or dox people, regardless of how you feel about them. That's not cool, okay? I don't care if you are an AI bro or an anti-AI artist or whatever, or a completely outside party. Just do not harass, dox, or send death threats to people. Don't do that. I mean, I don't think I have to explain why, but in this day and age, I feel like I might have to. That's not cool, okay? Don't do that. Because let's be honest, real artists are just continuing to create and have adopted AI into their workflow. The moaners are heck slapping together below average fan art and charging people for it. I would consider myself a real artist. Maybe not a great artist, but a real artist, sure. The thing is, I messed around with AI tools when they came out, and I'm like, I don't really see any benefit of them to how they could improve my art. And also, that little demonstration I gave about how it takes 3 pushes of a button, I'm going to tell you something, that left me completely unsatisfied. It's not the same as, like, actually drawing a piece and finishing it. The feeling, the journey, it's just not right. It feels wrong. It feels like, whatever. You know? It doesn't feel like, oh, okay, look, I finished this piece. All right. You know, and then I could share it with the world. People can look at it, maybe give me feedback. I could take a look at it later on and see how much I improved or what I fucked up on, what I gotta work on. I don't know. It's just a different process. It's like working out and taking steroids. You know what I mean? Oh no, the organic grocery store is going bankrupt because they haven't switched to selling fast food. But seriously, Inkblot has to step up its game. Let's read this. Oops, maybe banning most of your future customers isn't the best strategy for an art portal to survive. Catering to the few hundred streaking Luddites isn't exactly a viable growth strategy. You know, they like to use this word, a Luddite, which was the guy that, I forget which machine it was, but, like, he used to do this, I'll put the whole thing on screen, but basically he used to do a thing by hand, and somebody invented a machine, and he was trying to stop it. I'm not trying to stop AI, okay? Listen, I actually use AI sometimes. If you guys saw the Inktober video, I did a little bit of like analog horror things where I had like the emergency broadcast system that was read by an AI voice. And I've used ChatGPT a few times just to kind of get like tags in the video. You know what I mean? When you upload a video and like has the searchable keywords and the tags. I've used ChatGPT for that. Messed around with a lot of these AI tools. Just the only one that really doesn't do anything for me is the AI art generation. I don't think it's going to replace us, alright? I really don't think that. You may think so, and that's fine, but I don't think so. I really do think human-made content is always going to be more valuable, but that's just my opinion. You could debate me in the comments. I'm not a Luddite, okay? I've used AI stuff before. I don't hate AI, alright? I don't even hate these AI image generators. I just hate your behavior. You got this superiority complex about you that really pisses us off. It's nothing to do with the technology itself. I just did bring to light some of the issues with it just to bring some awareness to it, right? And some of the controversies and problems legally around it. But my main problem is the behavior of the AI bros, okay? Alright, please let that be the takeaway from this video. What's it say? Come join our mod team where you get to ban AI bros for breakfast every day. Alright, see, now, I'm not necessarily in favor of this kind of behavior. You get to ban AI bros for... That's a little funny. Is someone going to tell them that the AI generated images aren't art and they aren't an artist? Right, this kind of behavior from our side, I guess you could say the artist side, the human side, I don't necessarily condone it. I'm not stepping away, but I realize that if I don't make these changes and cry for help, Inkblot will not survive. I am sorry to disappoint. I am sorry this is not good news. I hope with these changes we can survive. Oh, hey guys, listen. There's a website that's been around for years that you can post your artwork on. Has a zero tolerance policy for AI generated images, and that is newgrounds.com. 100% uncensored, unfiltered, no AI allowed. Great website. You should see my favorites on there. Something I didn't mention in the first video is that a lot of these AI generated images are very Coomer brained. However, part of the reason I didn't mention that is because, well, guilty as charged. If you look back at some of my older artwork, well, some of my more recent artwork too, well, let's say there's a lot of drawings of like pinups and all that. And if you look at my Twitter likes and like my favorites on Newgrounds over there, yeah, I mean, I can't help it if hentai artists are the best artists. Sorry, I like drawings of like half-naked women. Sorry, not sorry. So I'm gonna let that one slide, but yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that images that are generated that are not even meant to be Coomer-brained come out Coomer-brained because these databases scrape images of pornography. Also, think about it. Databases have images of children and images of adult content. What do you think's gonna happen? Joe Biden's wet dream's gonna happen. AI bros casually making imaginary plans for how to take down art places that have banned ML-generated images because they do not cater to their specific desires. Banning AI art, also banning people whose art looks like AI and tells them to change their style even if they can prove it's not AI. Yeah, this is another issue on the artist/human side, is that sometimes somebody will post an image and people will claim it's AI when it's not. So yeah, that's not good, guys. That's not cool. Part of this problem is that sometimes you can't tell if it's AI generated. Like I said, 9 times out of 10 you can, but that 10th time you can't. You know, that's part of the issue with that whole propaganda around that certain conflict in a certain part of the world that is going on right now that I really don't want to comment on. All I'm just saying is war, violence, and death are bad. Please stop. Hot take, I know. I have a potential solution for this whole problem, is that these web browsers or these companies or these user-generated platforms, you know, like Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, all that, should have some kind of line of code in them that discloses that they're AI generated. I feel like that's probably going to be like the best solution. If maybe like you got to like register with the local government or something when you put your browser out there or whatever. I'm not entirely sure how that works. All right. But you know, maybe somebody that's a little bit more proficient in the legalities of creating software would be able to tell me. If we have some kind of way to put like a line of code or something that tells you that it's AI generated, sort of like how they did with Twitter, where the bot accounts have a little robot on it, which they didn't before Elon took over, which I think this was probably one of his best changes, is that you can tell which accounts are bots, you know? I think that's my solution, all right? That's my suggestion. I think that's a good idea, right? We can coexist. But the problem is AI bros don't want that, because they know as soon as somebody finds out their stuff is AI generated, they're gonna lose profit. Alright, let's see. Honestly, people should keep posting AI art and not revealing how they made it. See what I mean? The case in fucking point. It'll either drive the mods to crack down harder and self-destruct, or force them to accept posts that look good no matter how they were made. And once again, not all AI art looks good. As a matter of fact, a lot of it looks really bad. No, they'd rather ban people who make art that looks AI, so they'd self-destruct and a new community will take its place. No thoughts at all. These people think an AI, eat AI, breathe AI, masturbate with AI. Might as well remove their brains. Yeah, I also don't get people that make AI-generated adult content. Like, there's terabytes of that shit just on the hub, bro. Like, you know? Or get good at drawing. You could draw your own. Like I do. But like I don't get people then again, I don't get people that jerk off the hentai. I just like, it's just the drawing, bro. Now that Stable Diffusion is more advanced, AI will remove the need to pay losers to make art. No, it won't. Alright, I want an angry react. I would probably sad react to this. You really devalue art that much. Really, the most human of things. The literal oldest evidence of our existence, you know, the thing that we made to say that we were here, motherfucker. You know, what do you mean by losers? Artists are not losers. Some are. Well, let's be honest, some artists are losers, like Shadman and Creepshow art, but that's a different discussion for a different. Artists are losers and always have been. They are just insecure fucks outcasted by societies and make art in their little basement like weird. I'm an upstairs neighbor, by the way, so not in the basement. Weirdos. But now that we have AI, we don't need to pay those weirdos. I like how you categorize every single artist into one stereotype. What do you mean stereotype? Every single artist I see is just insecure weirdos making delusional romance comics. First of all, every single artist is not making romance comics. I'm making a dark fantasy comic that has some romantic subplots, alright? You know? that's just a bit of a subplot. That's not really the main story. It's more like a conspiracy sort of thing. But, you know, I guess if you only look at the front page of Tapas, I guess that's what you think. Alright, let's move on now. I've spent way too much time here.
BS argument is just devaluing the skills that you personally don't think have any worth. If you would have watched this video, you would understand that it takes quite some time to learn all the details of e.g. Stable Diffusion and the best extension for the A1111 WebUI. He has absolutely the legit reason to repeat this point because so many people still believe AI art is as simple as clicking one button.
Which it is. I could go onto an AI generator and just click one button right now. What should AI draw? Let's see. Alright, let's... Dragon. Let's go with the dragon. Dragons are cool. Everybody likes dragons. Go with illustration palette 2. Oh, look at that. You need credits. Should be able to make one, though. Boom! There we go. There's a dragon. Took a little bit to generate, but there it is. I don't know. Alright, maybe it's not as simple as pushing one button, but maybe it's as simple as pushing 3 buttons. It's pretty interesting render here. Mostly because the tail looks like it's upside down. The back of the neck looks kind of weird there. The thing with AI art is the more you look at it, the worse it becomes, so...
Okay, next comment. Those two statements are not mutually exclusive, which is in reference to something. I will put that here. You don't want to David people. Bro, you are literally spreading misinformation. You're literally spreading misinformation and cannot explain anything from an objective POV. Your video is a clear hate against AI users. No, it's not.
First of all, when he talks about I don't want to divide people, it means... Hey, Editor John saving past John's career right here. Listen, he's talking about the point that I made about AI-generated propaganda in relation to a certain geopolitical conflict in a certain part of the world. Now, regardless of your beliefs or anything, I think AI propaganda is a serious problem and something needs to be done about it, okay? I'm not a politics channel. I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff here, but in the rare cases they do come up, I try to tiptoe around them. It's kind of like that awkward situation when you see a homeless person on the side of the road, you're at a red light and you accidentally make eye contact with them. You know that feeling, that awkward feeling where it's like, God damn it, turn green, turn green, turn green, okay? That's kind of how I feel like when politics come up, okay? That's what I meant when I said I didn't want to divide people. I didn't want to bring politics into this because people are like ridiculous about that stuff now, okay? So we're going to move on past this. All right. Anyway.
Same non-proven argument. I actually really like the term AI-assisted art. At least he has the balls to say that. I know many who don't want to admit they are using AI.
You're right. There are a lot of people not using AI and creating stolen artworks and profiting off of other people's work, you know, in terms of stolen labor. That's why they're not admitting they used AI. Because the second somebody says, oh, I used AI, if you look at me like, it'd be like, oh, hey, that's a cool piece. Yeah, I made it using AI. You know? Well, he'll probably have that kind of reaction. So that's why they're not admitting they used it.
I think his artwork is just very over the top and not a good representation of what you can create with AI. Just a bad example, really. Searching online for 1 minute for good AI art will show the truth. The best ones are found on the community sites. I don't know about that. As far as I know, he said you can do it better by using just AI with only prompts. It was a different image, though, the one with holding the sword. He literally didn't use just prompts, though. It's like talking to a brick wall. He is just sharing something he is proud of. He is not actively flexing on someone with low art skills. I don't agree with all his arguments, but some are good.
Bro, did you not see the tweet? Did you not see the tweet where he put his AI generated garbage next to some modern Marvel comic book? Now, to be fair, the image he cherry picked was not very good, but he is literally flexing on someone who didn't do a good drawing. Literally. Hey guys, Insert John here, and one thing I forgot to mention in the first part is that a lot of these AI art bros think that all modern art is trash. Not all modern art is trash, just a lot of the stuff you're seeing coming out of the gallery scene can be seen as that, you know, with stuff like minimalism and abstract, which are sort of like a stylistic preference, but that's a debate for a different time. It's almost like their understanding of this is like sort of just at the base level. I mentioned the Dunning-Kruger effect in one of the comments on screen, that they just have a base level of understanding and they think they know everything, but there's so much more to learn, so they're sort of like only at that first bell curve. Yeah, I think some of the best artwork is being made today, actually. Just the thing is, you know, they don't realize it because they don't go looking for it. And now they think that AI can generate all this stuff, so that totally means that we could just replace these quote-unquote bad artists, right? I think that's the mentality a lot of them have, and I think it's a little ignorant. That's just my thought on that. So, yeah, just throwing that in here at this point in the video. Wow, that's some comment. Okay.
Alright, this is an actual pretty good comment. AI art artists, AI art bros, are basically producers, not fine artists. Listen, man, if anybody in that equation is an artist, it's the programmer, okay? It is an apples to oranges comparison. The legalities for the courts to work out, which they are right now, as we speak, okay? Production is an art to be sure, but artists are just one aspect, one contribution to any production that is beyond something like an illustration on paper sitting by itself. If that's what you want as an end product, draw away. Don't use a tablet though or smart mask glove. Taking a photograph is an act of illustration, but is not an illustration, and the creator is a photographer, not an artist. Similarly, when working with generative AI visual content, you are working with pieces that arguably could have been created by an artist in any number of software programs, using filters that themselves use algorithms to color grade, smart mask, the list goes on ad nauseum. The difference is mostly semantic and has been for 20 years. This is an ancient argument. To the producer, the art itself is just content strung together and used for some purpose towards some end result of the production. Whether generative AI filters were used or Final Cut Pro filters were used, what difference does it make? Either way, it costs the producer money, frankly, and when working with an artist, you're stuck with what they gave you. If you want more control over your initial illustrations, you can try generative AI and eventually get an illustration, and if it takes you 2 hours and 200 generative attempts to get something roughly near what you wanted, sure, in that time, at least speaking for myself, I could use Pixelmator and Blender to create that image myself on my kick-ass tablets, then use my other software to in turn assemble it into my production.
What is with you guys in run-on sentences? Periods, commas, exclamation points, em dashes, semicolons, colons, ellipses. They are your friends, okay? They are for everyone. Please. God, running out of breath here.
I just don't see the game. It is not as fun as generative AI is. It is old to me, it can be tedious and emotionally painful. I've done that enough. Some folk just want to produce. Whether or not they have studied or practiced art is the point where they have marketable skills. In short, I respect fine artists and am one myself, but for my production and at this point in generative AI, which believe it will prove to be as fleeting as it seems, I am taking advantage of it. I will still create fine art and sell it. I sculpt but also have a 3D printer. Do I consider the 3D printer to be cheating? Not really. I can do either as I choose. Why should I have to draw a freehand compound curve when a computer can just do it on my tablet? I am amused by the fact that all these visual content that I have created using any degree of generative AI is as much my original copyright protected work forever as any of my other works, including my writing, sculpture, and poetry.
Commas. They look at these things. You see these things? These are called commas. Okay? What they do is they break it up and make you have little short pauses in between so people can understand what you're saying better. I'm sorry, guys. Just I've been looking at these comments and like after a while, it's just like periods, commas. Come on, use them.
Let that sink in a bit prior to summarily dismissing content that involves generative AI. If you are willing to spend the money, and all art basically costs money, even if it's pencils, AI is another tool at your disposal with the huge added benefit of being super relaxing and detoxifying. Life is too short to pass judgment on tools. Just create. As someone who does both AI stuff and pen and paper art, I can say that a lot of the art community are self-absorbed narcissists. Many have their heads up their own rear end, sniffing their own farts, and will knock down and slander another artist if they gain from it without a hint of guilt. It's part of why the art community has such a large problem with forming peaceful communities, so honestly, neither side has any real right to attack the other until many problems that exist are dealt with. The saying, those living in glass houses should not throw stones, is very much a fitting statement in this situation, regardless of what people may want to believe. Don't throw stones in a glass house. I get that. I'm just tired of both sides acting like they don't throw stones at each other, constantly in denial of the very serious problem that affects the art world collectively. Until a house resolves its own internal problems, it should never cast shade on another household, is my way of seeing it. The sad truth is, I know several people who won't even get involved in the art community because of the dog-eat-dog mentality that is growing in it.
Okay, this whole glass houses thing. I know a lot of you might be new to my channel. I had an exponential vote to the first video in this short series here. Let me just show you something. I don't know, put Zelda music here or something. Ba-ba-ba. Yeah, look at that. I addressed that in the past. Would you look at that? Let me just once again reiterate that you guys can still do your AI images, okay? That's totally fine by me. If you want to make your AI generations, that's fine. I just want you to stop being dicks about it. All right, and let me add once again that my recreation was not that good, okay? Yes, it did come out a little masculine. The anatomy is a little jank. The perspective isn't great, all right? Nobody complained about my dragon, though, so there's that. Now, there's one thing I didn't do in the last video, and that was attempt the Jazz's brother method. Okay, just re-recording here because that first take was recorded quite late at night after basically working on this video for an entire day. So I used the Shadiversity method. Alright, I'm done calling him Jazz's brother. I don't got any beef with the guy, just the ideas, alright? Alright, we're cool, alright? Even though some things I'm reading are a little sus, a little sussy baka, but what I want to talk about is why I failed to execute in the Shadiversity method is basically he wants you to run your artwork through an AI, download that AI image, edit that image, and keep feeding it into there until you get the image you want. So I tried running my art through this, and it basically changed the entire piece and totally alienated my style from its render. Yeah, I tried a few other pieces and tried to edit the prompts in these free ones that I found online. And yeah, I'm just not really happy with the way it worked, alright? That's just my thoughts on it, so that's just what I'm saying. So I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. I'm just going to say, moral of the story, AI art bros, are kind of jerks. Knock it off. Yeah, I know. It's probably not going to change. And some of them are probably going to leave angry comments down here, but I said what I had to say. I'm done with this. Maybe this whole video was an exercise in futility. I'm done with talking about AI art, okay? I don't even know why it was invented in the first place. I don't understand why it was invented. This is the last video on AI art and AI art bros that I'm going to make unless something cataclysmic happens. To wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with a philosophical question here, alright? Let me ask you something. Would you rather have a meal of Michelin star quality made by a human who went through years of training in culinary school, or that exact same meal with the exact flavors and seasonings and everything made by a robot powered by AI that learned to cook like Michelin star chef? Me personally, I'd probably take the human made one, but that's up to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know a lot of you are going to leave some angry comments down there, or some supporting comments. The recent growth's been insane. Thank you all for that. Unfortunately, the first video got age restricted, so that one kind of got stopped dead in its tracks. But hopefully this one will leave you with a link to that, and you can actually go watch it. So, thank you all very much. I'll see you next time. We're done with this commentary stuff. We're going to move into art videos like I always intended next. Alright? Wait, hold on. The guy from the start of the video left a reply. I think you need to allot some time to math. 12 time from my post times 5 equals 60. But if you luck to have easy job, feel free to shit on people who don't have the same luxury. Why should they create drawing easily when they can create them the hard way? What? What's up, guy? It's your boy, John Could Use a Shave here. I have to address by far the absolute meanest comment I have ever received. This one right here. Excuse me? Well, I guess I should just accept my fate. Okay, so we're in the kitchen here, and today we are looking at white bread, the classic, the OG, right? Everybody's favorite, you know, because everybody loves the white one. Pretty standard packaging, you know. We got some Loven Fresh here, right? It's got 0 grams of trans fat. Holy shit! You guys remember trans fats? That used to be all the rage back in the day. So, as always, we are going to stick it in the toaster, right? Because everything tastes better toasted. Alright, so we got 2 slices here. Looking pretty solid. It's pretty good looking bread. Alright, so we're going to pop these fuckers in, right? And I like my toast a little bit crispy. I'm going to put it up to a 3. It's enough to get the job done. So we're going to let that sit, let it pop in a little bit, and then we're going to review it. Until then, we're gonna go get our various spreads and creams and preservatives and all that to put on top because nobody likes plain bread, right? Alright, so we got 2 specials coming up. We got run-of-the-mill, good old-fashioned, I can't believe it's not butter, otherwise known as margarine. Alright, I like it because it's easier to spread and they almost taste the same. I know it's essentially plastic, but you know what? I don't give a fuck about my health. So that's gonna be on toast number 1. On toast number 2, we got something special. We got some raspberry jam, baby. Let's go. This is, in fact, the sugar-free variety from Berry Hill. No, it was in the fridge. But yeah, I do enjoy a nice raspberry spread. That's gonna taste real good. All right, but we gotta wait for our toast to toast, cause all toast is toast. Alright, we have liftoff, baby! Alright. So, because I'm lazy, you know, fuck aesthetics. Good old-fashioned paper plate. Let's go. Boom, boom. Bada boom. There's a side order of toast for your ass. Why am I talking like this? Alright, so, let's get some nice cinematic shots. Yeah, look at that. Oh, ooh, sexy. Alright, time to spread this bitch. Are you guys ready for some nice butter spreading ASMR? Hey guys, voiceover John here. So you may be wondering why I'm doing voiceover if I'm on camera right now. Well, that's because this whole gag was supposed to be funny and on camera, but apparently the audio cut out, so now I'm doing a redub. I don't remember what I said though, because I didn't use a script for this part, but it was very funny. Trust me. So laugh. Do it. Do it now. So this whole part was just sort of a gag on the whole bread tuber name. So, yeah. The toast was good though. Tasty. I like the raspberry jam. I will beat the bread tuber allegations. What's the newest anti-woke slot? Dragon Age. Yeah, look at this. Why the titties no big, huh? So, this is my shelf. You've seen it in the background in my videos where I'm on screen before. It's got a lot of stuff on it. Video games, knickknacks, CDs. Yes, I still buy CDs. And, of course, manga. So I thought it would be an interesting time to look at some of these manga and their bizarre anomalies. This isn't necessarily a collection video, although I'll probably make that one day, but just to look at some weird stuff across my manga collection. So, first I want to start with Claymore here. You don't know Claymore? Dude, you're missing out. Some people call it Berserk, but with a female lead, and those people haven't read Claymore. Claymore is more like The Witcher with a female lead. Mutated warriors fighting off monsters that the manga calls Yoma. Except in the later volumes, they switch it to demons. Now, that may just be due to a mistranslation error in earlier printings, but on the back of every book they write Yoma, including the later volumes. I should also note the spines. Like, I'm a sucker for spines, which I'll talk about when I get to Junji Ito, but Claymore did something kinda weird. Like, if you were to get these volume by volume, you'd notice that the title has varying colors, right? But for some reason, volumes 14 through 16 are all grays. Now, that might be an artistic decision since those volumes take the focus away from Claire, the main character, but the numbers are kinda weird too. Volumes 14 and 15 both have the same gray as the logo, but 16 is darker. I don't know, it just kind of irritates my eyeballs when I look at the shelf. Okay, since we brought up Berserk, let's take a look at my deluxe editions from Dark Horse. This is how I recommend you read the series, although they're kind of expensive. I, however, bought them on Amazon where they go on sale all the time, so I recommend that route unless you have some kind of hate boner for Amazon, which I know some people do, but, you know, I digress. Anyway, these are beautifully leather-bound in 3-in-1 collections, and they have a ribbon. I love ribbons. You want me to buy your big book? Put a ribbon on it. Ribbons aside, these books look badass on a shelf. Too bad they have to sit over here instead of on my main shelf due to trim height. This is more of a me problem. Now, while these all contain 3 volumes in one, Book 14 did something a little different. Due to the unfortunate untimely passing of Kentaro Miura, rest in peace, they put the official guidebook in with the standard volumes 40 and 41. The last ones Miura drew himself. While I do think it's nice to have a stopgap between the Miura and Mori eras, this also makes 14 irritatingly thinner than the other nearly uniform 13. Like, I'm fine with different series being slightly different in width, but when the same series has variations, it just gives me, like, an OCD reaction. Which is why Dorohedoro, despite looking right up my alley with all those cool monsters, might be getting passed up. Look at it, man. What the hell? So I should add, this is my copy of Lord of the Rings. No, I didn't pay that much for it. Are you crazy? And it has this really nice red printed edges. I love that, okay? I know that drives the prices up, but I just want to add that. I freaking love this. I think Berserk would have actually benefited from that. I think the Death Note hardcovers did the same thing, so I don't know. If you're putting out a collection like that, like, print the edges like that. It looks so cool. Okay, so this is my Junji Ito collection here, and I have some varying opinions on Ito's stories, but overall, they call him the master of horror in the manga world for a reason. This is the most aggravating part of my collection. I'm gonna bitch for an hour here. 1, the order. Do I put them alphabetically, chronologically, or chronologically according to localization? Not to mention that some of the short story collections we got over here are all from different eras, so chronology be damned, I guess. And the spines. Oh, dear Lord, the spines. The most hit-or-miss spines ever. The short story collections all have a bit of uniformity to them, with the logo big and legible and an illustration in the bottom to clue you into what you're in for. Deserter does this really cool fading thing that's contextual to that particular short story in the collection. That being Ghost, if my memory serves me correctly. It's been a while since I've read it, so I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then you have Love Sickness. Love Sickness is a multi-part short story, so I guess that's why it's what you would call the title track if you were to liken it to music, you know? But it contains other stories, so it's a collection. But look at this font. It has the same branding that's on all the other short story collections, but the script font makes my blood boil, because I live in America and I have to get angry about the smallest minute things, such as the American way. What were they thinking? So Viz did something cool with censor and the liminal zone and put this like spot gloss on the book jackets. They're really pretty, but they stick out in the Junji segment of my shelf, and yours too, probably. There's also Fragments of Horror, which was designed like the two aforementioned, but there's no spot gloss. Irritating inconsistency. No Longer Human is one that I didn't really enjoy upon first read, but after learning the context of the adapted work, I gained a new appreciation for it. But look at this book jacket. Why did they do this? To be different? If I open the book to, read the damn thing, my finger goes into the hole. And this is a beefy book, so who knows, I might damage it. Ben John, just take the book jacket off, I hear you cry in the comments. No, I'm lazy. USA, baby. There's also The Cat Diary, which was a fun one-off for Ito that was very different. It was actually a deliberate comedy, rather than his dark comedic elements he'll pepper into his horror. But look at this fucking thing. This book is so big, but I don't want to separate it from the rest. This is the Ito chunk. It must stay together. And even if I did get a bigger place with bigger shelves, it'll look absurd next to the rest of Ito's books, especially Dissolving Classroom. Why is this the only standard size Ito manga, Viz? Why did you do that? It makes me so mad I could dropkick a baby. And why didn't you keep doing what you did for Tomie, Uzumaki, and Gyo? These three go together. Look at the design. I love it. Okay? Everyone loves it. But when you get to another one of his full lengths, like Remina, one of his most underrated, by the way, that book is awesome. The design is totally different. Anyway, I'll be here all day if I keep going on and on about how botched the book sizes and formatting of Junji Ito is. So, let's take a look at Tatsuki Fujimoto, acclaimed author of Chainsaw Man. You should know him by now if you're a manga reader. No spoilers for Chainsaw Man Part 2 in the comments, please. I'm waiting for more volumes to read it. You guys are literally going to spoil the shit out of it down there, aren't you? Anyway, before Chainsaw Man, Fujimoto did Fire Punch, which I've seen a lot of people talk about but never give a proper review or deep dive, so maybe I'll do that one day. I don't know. Would you guys be interested if I looked at comics that weren't independently posted webcomics? I always thought that would be the most interesting content when covering comics, but if you want me to expand out and look at manga and just regular published comics, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, back to the cannibal incest manga. Yes, I'm serious. Fire Punch is batshit insane, and that's putting it lightly, especially in the last few volumes. But Viz decided to publish these in the Viz Signature format, which is literally just a slightly bigger version of the standard Viz printing. It's not that noticeable, but it is when I line my Fujimoto up. It irritates me. Again, I know, first world problems. Also, look at Chainsaw Man's spine. Look at Volume 4. Do you see what I'm seeing? Why is that one so much lower than the rest? Eyesore, man. Well, at least it's not as bad as Monster, which is a manga I'm eventually going to get to, along with Urasawa's other stuff. Always wanted to check his stuff out. But from what I've seen from manga tubers, the Western printing, I guess you call it, has an image forming on the covers that totally messes up the spines. Come on, man. Leave my spines alone. Speaking of spines that are good or bad, these Fist of the North Stars are absolutely perfect. This is how you do a re-release. These are in this nice hardcover format, but they're not oversized like the Berserk ones from Dark Horse. Take notes, Dark Horse. I know you're American too, but the fact of the matter is that some of us don't have the stereotypical amount of American space, okay? Even though maybe one day I will, that is. If you watching this will hit the damn subscribe button. Do it. Do it now. but the logos are super legible and consistent with the front cover. It has that nice stark contrast of red on white to stand out, so you're looking at it on the bookshelf and you're going like, whoa, what's that? And you're going to pick it up, and then they're going to make more money because it's good. They did good design, right? It has a cool illustration and the numbers are aligned perfectly. Not to mention, since it's a completed series, they decided to put the image across it. Now, at first it just looks like blood splatter, letting you know this is a manly, violent, steroid-ass, punchy, shooty, killy, manly man manga for manly men, man. But as you collect the volumes, it starts to form the constellation. You're like, whoa, that's even cooler, dude. Anyway, speaking of spine images, so I actually haven't read this one yet, but Kodansha has been putting out these full-color hardcovers, which would look pretty on a shelf, but I messed up. I got the standard original black and white version for Volume 2. Now, I may just double dip in this one, like Berserk, if I like it enough, and not to mention the artwork looks totally different in these books when you add color, and the covers are different, so maybe they'll actually give the story a different vibe when I get around to reading it. I do like that the hardcovers spell out the title. I thought that was cool, but when you don't have them all, it looks goofy. like if you just have the first two, people are going to look at your shelf and say, huh, guess you're a big fan of Pennsylvania. I don't know, guys. Should I stick to the hardcover color version or the original black and white, or should I just double dip? I don't know. This is a massive dilemma. Again, totally a first world problem, I know. Speaking of things with multiple versions from Kodansha, so here's what I have from Vinland Saga so far. I haven't read the whole thing because after reading the first volume, it's one of the ones that I want to read in full. It is finished, right? Or is it nearly finished? I could have sworn I saw a clip of Yukimura saying he was wrapping it up. Anyway, fuck these colors, man. They incorporated the colors of these books into the cover art, and that's one reason they have the spines like that. But look at Volume 4. What is this bullshit? If you're going to have these gaudy, vibrant colors in such a dark series, at least stick to it. Now they have these deluxe 2-in-1 versions that are similarly sized to like the Berserk Deluxes. Different companies, I know, but I already committed to the standard hardcovers before they announced, so I'm sticking with them. Also, you know, space. So these deluxe versions of Vinland Saga, they have much, much better cover and spine work for this series. These actually look like books about Vikings, you know, what it's about, but they fucked up again. Why are they different colors? It would have been perfect if they were all red or black or just one single color. But no, we're Kodansha. Fuck you. Well, I think I made the right decision in sticking with the original hardcovers. Speaking of variations, it's time to take a look at some spicy manga. Yes, I have some spicy manga in my collection. I am shameless. Anyway, World's End Harem here. This story is actually a really good sci-fi government conspiracy thriller with an engaging plot and good characters. It just happens to have a lot of fucking in it, which is what you want from an H manga. Nothing's worse than one of these without a plot. It's still a book to be read, you know? And no, I don't read one-handed. I legit don't understand people that jacket the hentai. Probably because I can just draw my own if I wanted to. Or I prefer the live-action adaptations. Like, I can just look at these manga as art and art alone. Now, this series has one thing that perplexes me. For the most part, I love the way 7 Seas presented it. Super uniform in spines and covers. They even labeled the second arc and made it not stick out like a sore thumb. Isn't that awesome? One anomaly though, for some reason, Volume 5 just has really nice thicker paper. Every single other volume has what you expect in a manga, but not Volume 5. It's like they were like, nah, we gotta use nicer paper for this one. Like, I'll show you on camera while being very careful about what pages I'm putting on screen. I don't know if you can really make it out, but like, if you look close, Volume 5 is like way thicker and crisper. I don't know why. You know, it's really nice paper. I wish the whole series was printed like this. But yeah, that's the weird anomaly in World's End Harem. Anyway, I got this other spicy manga from back when I used to just do blind buys here called Ladies on Top. As the title implies, it's about, you know, femdom. Don't look it up if you don't know what that is. Actually, get off my channel if you don't know. You're too young to be here. She pegs him in Volume 3. Like, I'm actually not kidding. The last page of Volume 2 had him pulling out a strap-on. Like, legit. Anyway, I dropped it because, like, look, I like him a little feisty, but that's a bit too much for me. You know what I'm saying? The art was nice and had, like, softness to it, and the dialogue felt surprisingly realistic, but it just kind of wasn't for me. However, it's in that big format like Fire Punch, but it's a rare case of a matte finish on the cover. Usually manga have a glossy finish if it's paperback like this, but not this one. The first one has this spot gloss on the logo, and also this like embossing or beveling or raising, or whatever you call that. Editor John, help me out here. But the second one only has spot gloss. I'm guessing the first one didn't sell as well as they hoped, but they still wanted to stand out a bit. I don't know. Probably was a bit cheaper to do that, but you know, like inconsistencies. Anyway, speaking of femdom, great transition. This one, Pleasure and Corruption, is a rather interesting story revolving around bondage. Again, if you don't know these words, get off my channel. You're too young to be here. There's this weird flap here. Why? Why is it here? It's so annoying. Also, if you have volume 2 of this, which I literally can't find anywhere, hit me up because volume 1 ended on a cliffhanger. Anyway, getting back to 7 Seas, who are the Western manga publishers who are kind of known for bringing spicier manga over here. They have this weird, like, imprint, I think the word is. It like all has the same logo, but they categorize them under different ships. Destiny Lovers, which is a really bizarre story, I gotta read the rest of that one, is published under Ghost Ship. But Asumi-chan is interested in lesbian brothels, which is a much more wholesome story than the title implies, is printed under just 7 Seas. Ladies on Top has Steamed Ship, all one word as opposed to the others, and most irritatingly, Please Go Home Miss Akitsu probably, has Volume 1 as 7 Seas and Volume 2 as Ghost Ship. If someone from 7 Seas happens upon this video, first of all, you're doing the Lord's work, dog bless. Also, what's up with this dude? So, no good transition here, but I got into Shuzo Oshimi from the very divisive Flowers of Evil anime adaptation. That series is better known by its Japanese title, Aku no Hana. And the series was like Anxiety the anime. It was so uncomfortable to watch. Not just because of the rotoscoping, but the entire story as well. Which actually, in retrospect, might have made the rotoscoping a good choice in my opinion. I might actually do a whole review on this series at some point, but we're talking about manga today, so as well as the spines of these manga match, I don't like the covers. I don't know, I just don't like them. And I don't like the variance in size. I don't know, it annoys me. But I did like his work enough to pick up blood on the tracks as well as keep my eye out for any of his other work. But someone messed up, either Oshimi himself or Vertical Comics, because of the iconic double-page spread that you've probably seen, especially if you watch the single Super Eye Patch Wolf video, looks like What the hell, guys? There's this thing called a margin. It's also part of the reason why I haven't put out Doomsayer Volume 1 physical. It's really annoying. Also, the printer I picked to get the prototype from kind of had shitty cover material. Anyway, this was just me being a damn complainer, whining about things that don't really matter. I hope you enjoyed me venting my frustrations around these first world problems. Sometimes the publishers really knock it out of the park, though. Like, look at these Orochi hardcovers. Aren't they awesome? Well, to wrap this one up, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Transparent hair. You see this kind of thing a lot in anime and manga art. For some reason, your anime boys and girls all seem to have the ability to turn their hair transparent, where you can see their eyes and eyebrows through their bangs. What is this? That is not how hair works. Your follicles are opaque. I shouldn't be able to see through them. Stop this shit, man. It makes me nuts. Especially if I'm watching an anime that's actually a good one, my mind just keeps screaming at the damn animators. What are you doing? What were they thinking? Speaking of anime and manga, Akira Toriyama is one of the greatest and most influential artists and mangakas of all time.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Dragon Ball's impact is still felt to this day, and is still lauded as a landmark shonen series and a literal breakthrough for not just anime and manga, but Japanese cultural influence in the West. You cannot deny this. His legacy will last forever, and may he rest in peace. But I've been recently rewatching Dragon Ball, and there are two things about Toriyama's designs that make me nuts. Two minor things. That's not what the human bicep looks like. All of his characters are cross-eyed. Okay? That's it. He's still great, but especially that second one makes me absolutely nuts. Alright, liberals, listen up. My wife left me. No, there is no wife. Come on, I make YouTube videos. Anyway, I got a bone to pick with a certain subsection of fandoms that think it's okay to take screenshots or others' illustrations and edit their characters' races. Now, I am specifically referring to race edits, not race swaps. Honestly, I don't really care about race swaps. Unless it's supposed to be some historical figure whose race we actually have on record. I couldn't care less about race swaps. I think it's a little unnecessary, but I'm whatever on it, as I've said so in the past. Hell, draw some race swaps of my characters for all I care. And submit it to the fan art category in the Discord page, link in the description. Honestly, I think that'd be funny. But there are some people, like that recent Don to Don drama, that simply take a screenshot and alter the character's skin color for no reason other than representation. Dude, you can absolutely make new characters that people can enjoy, okay? Whatever race you want. The key is to not be a shitty artist or writer, okay? The problem is that the people that are preaching more representation are doing shit like this. Stop it. It's needlessly fueling this rampant race war on Twitter. Like, good lord, have you guys seen Twitter lately? Like, damn, what did the Indians do? Anyway, these race edits, not swaps, edits, are dumb, okay? Knock it off. Alright, this next one's for the gooners in the audience. What's up, my fellow kindred spirits? Hentai.
Hentai is brilliant.
So, I prefer live action when it comes to this genre of entertainment, but I have an appreciation for the skill that a lot of these NSFW artists have, and I have stated in the past that I can enjoy these bizarre plots in adult comics. It's usually interesting as long as there is actual plot and not just, plot. Anyway, there's one specific thing about this style of art that has always bothered me. The highlights. And more specifically, the tendency of these artists to put this almost like outer glow of red around them. Like, what is up with that? That is not how highlights work. Now, I know sometimes the light direction looks a little weird, but making the boobs and thighs for the women and the abdominal muscles for the men a bit shiny seems to make the art better stylistically, in my opinion. However, this red outer glow just perplexes me. It looks like they got rashes, dude. What is up with this? Knock it off. Leonardo da Vinci. The face of the Renaissance period. That dude that gives you cool gadgets in Assassin's Creed 2. Inventor, innovator, all-around Renaissance man. Da Vinci was mostly known as an inventor and had a heavy influence on scientific and mathematical breakthroughs. But he was also an artist, and his art, I think it was just okay, honestly. I know a lot of art historians and art enjoyers put him on a pedestal for his art, but it really doesn't do anything for me. Can you name more than 3 paintings off the top of your head of Da Vinci's? Mona Lisa, Last Supper, Vitruvian Man. I don't know. It's not that memorable, nor is it that impressive in my opinion. Apparently he had a bit of a rivalry with objectively superior artist Michelangelo, which, I mean, it's night and fucking day. Just look at The Last Judgment next to The Last Supper. Like, come on. Apparently there's a story about Da Vinci being Andre del Verrocchi's apprentice. When Da Vinci was just a teenager, Verrocchi was so impressed with the way Da Vinci rendered folds in clothing, he decided to call it quits. What a loser, man. I love seeing people better than me. It gets me motivated to push myself even harder. And this guy was like, oh, he's so much better. Oh, I quit. What a bitch. I think Da Vinci's contributions to science are far more important than his art. His art, in my opinion, kinda mid. So many better Renaissance painters. Bosch, Caravaggio, Armistice, Gentileschi, Botticelli, Michelangelo. Subscribe for the inevitable Renaissance artist tier list. Alright, this next one specifically refers to a subgenre of fetish art you most likely will come across while browsing DeviantArt, which I did in the last video, and is going to be a series, so I have come across it a few times already just on that first episode. But most of the fetish work I come across that I just don't get just makes me laugh, I find it kind of funny, but this subgenre makes me nauseous and seriously question the individuals that are into it. I did briefly mention it in the previous video and in that Tales video. It's probably the last time I'm going to talk about, but it's that diaper stuff. It's fucking nasty. I don't like it in principle. I don't care how well done it is. It's really gross, and if you like it, please seek professional help. And I did say this was the last time I was going to talk about it, but I'm going to review Assigned Mail at some point, which apparently the creator's into this, so... Fuck. Anyway, we're gonna move on to a nuclear take. Ilya Kushinov. This artist is not that good. Here we go again.
Oh shit.
Here we go again.
There are names amongst the upper echelons of internet or social media artists, I guess you could call them, that get mentioned all the time, and for good reason. Artists like Loish, Guiez, Walop, all absolutely fantastic artists with unique identities and styles. Extremely skillful and objectively good work. But there's one artist that seems to have snuck in there, and that's Kushinov. There's something about his work that seems kind of soulless to me. If you put a Kushinov piece next to an AI rendering of cute anime girl, I would not be able to tell the difference. Honestly, the only compliment I can give to this guy is that his light rendering seems to be slightly above average. This is like Sam Does Arts, but not as good. I find some of his posing rather stiff, and he has a borderline case of same-face syndrome. A lot of his drawings don't have backgrounds, and when they do, they look photo-bashed, which is an acceptable technique, but it kind of drags down the pedestal a lot of people put him on. A personal preference, but a lot of his characters seem to have minimal details, especially in outfit design, which can work stylistically, but I find it a bit bland. Look, I wouldn't be shitting on this guy if it wasn't for everyone saying he's like this huge art god and league with artists like Guiez. Like, are you kidding me? Look at these side by side. Fuck off. In the Da Vinci segment earlier, I guess I just have a bone to pick with people that praise things I find mid at best. Like, here's some takes. Jujutsu Kaisen isn't that great of a story and is held up entirely by animation. Here's another one. Knocked Loose is an insanely shitty band. In my opinion. But the thing is, people propping them up as the greatest thing since sliced bread make me go from passively ignoring them to actively hating them. I actually asked you guys previously that like his work to explain, and one guy said he designed a good waifu. Bro, design means nothing in terms of good waifus without good writing to support it, okay? You really do go for looks over personality. So shallow. I just don't get it. This guy is not that good. Alright. If you like him, that's cool. Keep liking his work. I'm cool with you loving his stuff. That's fine. But the fucking glazing on this guy. Like, good lord, make it stop. AI slop and NFTs. So I did a video about NFTs from a long time ago. Sorry for the audio in that video. When they were new and literally every single one of my predictions came true. Like, every single one. NFTs are essentially a scam in digital arts clothing. I've been over this way back, but there are some people that legitimately still think it's the future. Mostly snake oil salesmen that couldn't delineate a Marcel Duchamp from a Salvador Dali. Fake fans, more or less, just after the money. And AI slop. We use the word slop instead of art because it is slop. I've already did a few videos on AI art, big quotations on that, and that my issue is actually more so the behavior of the people that are pro-AI slop than the actual generations themselves. But a lot has happened since posting the video that got my channel monetized, so thank you, Jazz's brother, by the way. I do plan to do one last final video on AI slop, but I should note that the anti-AI crowd has gotten just as unbearable as the AI bros themselves. A good parallel is the woke and anti-woke crowd. So essentially, one side was annoying and another side complained. Then said complainers decided to grift off of their positions and found fault with the most obscure things they claimed the other side was in support of, even though potentially they were not. Same thing happened with the AI crowd. However, a lot of the AI slop is really shitty and unpleasant to view. I will admit I've seen a few renders that left me going, damn, that actually looks pretty good. But personally, I will always prefer art created by humans. Instagram and Twitter are the biggest offenders of AI slop overtaking human-made art. Apparently Zuckerberg wants to populate Meta's platform with AI for some reason too. Like, I don't know what that's about. Personally, I only want human subscribers on my channel, but I guess I'm just an AI racist. In short, I just don't like seeing AI stuff in my feed, whether that be AI-generated images, AI art bros defending theft, or the anti-AI crowd claiming everything is AI. Cancel this person. Just make art, man. Like, just shut the fuck up and draw. Alright, and next, Lolly and Shota art. Self-explanatory. It's fucking gross. Defenders of it, fuck off. Next, art gurus and course sellers. Oh boy, we got some cans of worms to open. So, there's a specific subgenre of art YouTuber on this platform that rub me the wrong way, and it's the art guru ones. Now, I'm not going to name names, but these guys are usually quite pretentious, really full of themselves. They use this condescending tone that makes them seem like they have all the answers, when in actuality the advice they offer is what worked for them in conjunction with luck. The truth of the matter is that there's no real right or wrong answer when it comes to art. nor are there necessarily right or wrong answers when it comes to building a business, aside from the legal procedures of your countries. The best way to make it as an artist is to persist in it and get lucky. Sure, there's some things you can do to improve your chances, and you should take a swing at them, but without a little bit of luck, you're going nowhere. And these art gurus keep making the same damn videos over and over again, and in the end, they're profiting more off of their ad revenue than their actual art. Now, I could go on a whole rant about this a while longer, but there was a recent semi-viral video in the art niche here that essentially went over this subgenre of YouTuber in much more detail. You might have seen it. Look, in short, they're very similar to the CEO grifter type. Your Gary V's, your Matt Diavellas, your Captain Sinbads. These guys are all wearing the facade of improvement and building business while they're simultaneously selling you courses at ludicrous prices to keep you in the never-ending cycle of feeling good about your awful choices and giving snake oil salesmen money. I think the best way to learn things is through experience. You shouldn't sit through a course. I can explain to you how to draw a perfect cube, but you're not going to be able to do it until you put it on the page. These creators are only interested in taking your money and offering you what they consider value, when in actuality what they offer is a slight ego boost to keep you hooked on the premium services. Me, I'm simply here to entertain you, and occasionally share some of my opinions. That's it. But these art gurus are essentially the same as these CEO grindset bros. Money and money only. And they'll lie to you and say they're not doing it for the money, and then they'll show you their $10,000 setup just to doodle shitty Instagram post. I can see right through them, and I hope you can too. ArtStation. It is a horribly designed website. You go on it, right? And there's a big grid of the latest popular posts. Oh wait, now it's all channels? What the fuck does that mean? There's a bar of featured genres underneath the sales, which is underneath the nav bar. It's 45% shit up top and them trying to sell you stuff, and 55% actual art when you first visit. I should also note that most people don't see the most recently posted artwork because the community tab takes precedent, what's the difference between that and trending? Are they paid members? Also, why the fuck do they always log me out when I click please leave me logged in? Like, come on, assholes. And the logo's fugly. And when you upload, you have to pick specific categories. Like, come on. Sometimes only 1 or 2 apply, but they require 3. Oh, and you better tell us what software you used. Uploading is a chore on ArtStation. Not to mention the influx of AI slop the last 2 years trained off of data that the creators never consented to. But I was already over AI. I hate this website. But you know what? This segment has given me some inspiration to do a video on the worst UIs ever, so make sure you subscribe for that. Now, on to the last beef I have with one specific artist. Not sure if you guys know this one, but there's this guy named John. He's out here posting all of these videos about all the art things he hates, and he reviews the worst webcomics of all time or something. It's like, really? And your name's just John? Come on. Meanwhile, his own art is absolutely atrocious, and he actually makes his own webcomic that most definitely qualifies for the worst of all time. He used to do drawing videos, but when he started covering other people's art, he realized people enjoy shit talkers rather than skill sharers. And this would be a perfect spot for a Skillshare sponsorship, but we gotta pump those numbers up. Subscribe. Do it. Do it now. So he decided to slop up his channel talking about cringe internet artists and bad comics. He even did a DeviantArt video. Low-hanging fruit if I ever saw it. Then he goes and makes his Art Things I Hate video ripping off a nearly decade-old Solar Sands video. So unoriginal. What a loser. And looking at his art, why are the women so absurdly thick, dude? Like, damn. And why isn't he drawing more creatures, which is definitely a strong suit? And his writing in his comic, oh my god, what a mess. Alright, I'm just trolling you, but I feel bad if I talk all this shit about other artists without making fun of myself too. Art Things I Hate, by John, 2025. Forever. Thank you for watching this video. See you next time. Hey guys, it's your boy John. I'm back again. About time, right? This was not the video I was going to put out this week. You'll still get a regular video a little bit later on, but I just want to give you guys a little update about YouTube and some stuff they've been doing that's not good, but I just want you to be aware of it. First of all,
Your Jordans are completely fake.
First of all, they added this feature called Hype. I don't know, I think it only works on mobile. I don't really watch YouTube on my phone. But yeah, apparently it basically does what likes are supposed to do. So I guess like the video and hype the video. The other thing is, for some reason, there's a bug going around that basically just defaults the restricted mode on. I'll do a little screen cap, but basically, you can turn on this mode that blocks content that's either not advertiser friendly or YouTube just thinks is not good. Because, yeah, so if you put restricted mode on my channel, it basically just cuts down my catalog of like, I don't know, 100 videos down to just like 5, which is kind of ridiculous. But if you turn it off, you can see my whole content, and it's not videos that are demonetized or age restricted, because those videos, while still do appear when you turn restricted mode off, some of the videos that appear when you turn it on are just videos that I would never think would be restricted. If I actually go to my channel right now as I record this, like say the art fight video that I did a little while back, I'll have just a little thing in the end here about that. That video disappears. I don't think I said a single swear word that entire video, nor did I did anything inappropriate. Maybe perhaps some of my artwork might be considered a bit raunchy. I don't know. Women have boobs, get over it. But yeah, I don't know what that's about. But so make sure you turn restricted mode off if you watch me casually. If you're logged in and subscribed, I mean, you probably shouldn't have this issue, but if you're just a casual viewer that comes across my channel, that might be an issue. I don't know if you're gonna come across this video. This might appear when restricted mode's on. So yeah, those are the two little things. They added the hype feature, and make sure you turn restricted mode off. I don't really care if my videos like don't get monetized or anything, you know what I mean? I get it. Some of my videos are definitely
Today, Junior?
So my videos are definitely pushing the boundary there. I just want them to be seen by people that want to see them. You know what I mean? There's also Patreon, $1 a month. And I'm going to show you a couple of pieces from Art Fight that I got that I didn't show in the last Art Fight video. They're going to be on screen now, and they're very good, and I love them all, and I look at them all the time. And I appreciate anybody that's ever sent in any fan art. As for the rest of the channel, I think we're going to do a little quick video next. I don't know, maybe a drawing video, maybe a quick comic review, something like that. And then I'm going to get to my longer projects that I've been neglecting for the past month because it was August, and I don't function in the heat. I just don't. I'm sorry. It's just when it gets hot, I just can't work. But it's cooling off now, and yeah, I will see you again real soon. Just those two little things, just wanted to let you know. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in a little while. Probably in the next couple of days, I'll put up the next video. Actual video. Hey guys, John here. So, I was unfortunately on Twitter the other day. Stop trying to make X happen, Elon. X is never gonna happen. Your cars are ugly too. Getting sidetracked from the first 2 seconds. Okay, anyway, I was scrolling through some political extremism, unapologetic racism, nice drawings of absurdly proportioned anime girls, the occasional funny post that's so removed from what Twitter has become, and some politician making crap up, when I came across an individual named Ellen Historian. So, we need some context before we go further. Recently, a popular YouTube channel called the Anime Men, that's men, not man, to avoid confusion, dropped a really bad video. They reviewed the first episode of each year's most popular anime going all the way back to the 60s. The video was extremely poorly done, lack of research, reviews being truncated down to it was good or it was bad, unbearable zoomerisms such as an excess of verbiage like peak, aura, and hype. Really bad shaky cam, poorly shot, they had their dogs out like the entire time, it was pretty gross. Overall, everyone hated it, and it brought up the discussion of anime tourism. Sorry there's so much to cover before getting into the meat of this video, but we gotta eat them potatoes first. What the fuck is that metaphor? Anyway, metaphors, yes. ReFantasio. Does anyone play that game? Still in my backlog. I love JRPGs, but they are so long. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. What else is new for one of my videos? A metaphor is what the term tourist is used for. In short, it's basically people that get into a fandom, such as Japanese cartoons or, say, video games, and demand that things change to their outsider's perspective. When in reality, you like it or you don't. You know, I get that there's certain aspects of certain fandoms that one would not like. For instance, I do enjoy anime, but, you know, whenever there's a lolly in a series, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't like that. I'm not going to have a shit fit on Twitter. I'm just going to be like, yeah, I don't like that, and then move on with my life, you know? Back to the script. Don't try to change things just because it's popular and you want to be a part of something. For instance, I've never seen the popular cartoon Steven Universe. I don't like the way it looks, I don't like the premise of the story, I don't like the behavior of the fandom. So guess what? I don't engage with it. Simple as. Tourists have a tendency to actively change things that are deemed popular, and in a lot of cases, more so to conform it to their socio-political worldview. For example, check in on the AAA video game industry. I haven't played a Western-made one since like 2017, maybe even 2016, due to the nature of their ham-fisted left-wing politics. Do I care that they put them in there? No, I still have retro games, Japanese games, and indie games that don't do that, or at least don't do that to the point of parody. But a majority of these Western releases force in these like hard leftisms. Like, I was vaguely interested in that Insomniac Spider-Man series, but then I saw one of the boss fights. It was when Mary Jane was possessed by the symbiote. Not really a spoiler. Anyone vaguely familiar with the Spider-Man franchise knows that the symbiote will possess someone inevitably. The majority of the dialogue for the boss fight was basically the writer venting her frustrations with her ex and espousing her extremist feminist worldview. Yeah, also, why do bosses never shut the hell up in video games anymore? It's really annoying, especially when the boss is hard. Like, and you die every time, you gotta listen to the same shit over and over. It's annoying. Anyway, that's when I decided that that franchise was not for me. Dude, I just want to punch the vulture, not sit through a lecture of neo-Marxist postmodern liberalism. Or whatever the fuck these people believe in. Whatever your politics are, that is not the point of this video. I do not intend to debate worldviews in this video. Left, right, I don't give a shit. So go ahead and shove that multi-paragraph comment about grr, John straight white man, brr, grr, get woke, or grr, we must stop immigrants in Islam, grr, red pill, right up your fucking ass. Now, to clarify the point I was making, these people don't care about the content they're consuming, the art they're making, as long as they can get it to preach their worldviews, and even going so far as to project something that isn't there. Now, of course, there are works of art that are made with an inherently political intent, but there are way more that are not. Anyway, back to LN Historian. So, Joey the Anime Man, popular anime YouTuber, 1/3 of the formerly popular Trash Taste podcast that they shat all over when they invited He Who Shall Not Be Named to inject his insane politics into, responded to the Anime Men's terrible video explaining tourism and using a good analogy to the colonist. Essentially saying these tourists are like the colonists that arrived in America and took over the Native Americans' land and said, "This is mine now, we'll change it to our liking." I should mention the Anime Men, this is getting confusing. We'll call them the Anime Boys for clarification's sake. Also, I don't think these kids are old enough to even drink yet, so... Anyway, they made a follow-up. They addressed the backlash and revisited the previous video's concept with some actual research prior to the video's posting because they made some terrible reviews. And what makes a good review? Glad you asked, because I asked you. We're getting a 2 for this video. I was going to cover the Anime Boys' initial video, but I'm glad I waited so I can add more content to this video, make it longer, maximize watch time, and revenue. Listen, your boy broke as fuck out here. Anyway, let's see what you guys have to say. Okay, so... Foxbox Trot 9436 says, "For me, a review should be informative to the audience." Agree. Reviews should give the positives and negatives of a piece of media, and after all is said and done, the reviewer/reader of the review can make the decision on whether or not they want to read, watch, listen, play, or whatever is being reviewed. For me, it can vary what is important depending on the medium. For games, gameplay is essential. Is the game fun/satisfying? What is the gameplay loop? Comics, webcomics, manga. How is the pacing of the story? Too fast, too slow? Are the characters interesting? What is the overall story? Does it follow through, or is it constantly changing? Movies, is it coherent? Pacing and overall story and characters. For all these categories, I will say visuals are only important if it is distracting. For instance, if you're reading a comic and you have no idea what is going on because of the art, then it should be brought up. Okay. Gabogaberiuxes. We'll just call him Gabo, okay? Alright, Gabo here. Gabo says, "The review term for a show is rather conflicted for me because in the strictest sense it would mean giving the viewer a summary of the whole screenplay of a show, which in my opinion is useless, yet many creators do so on this platform. A review should, in my opinion, have a good grasp of the scenes, events, acts, and pacing of a screenplay. It should understand why they exist, if they do or do not serve the work. That's how the reviewer can decide whether it is good or not. Close in second, there's the direction, which would involve the art, cinematography, score, and acting. These elements appeal to the more emotional sense of the viewer. They are the glaze of the work that cannot be ignored. In third place, it would be the natural creativity of the work. How original is it? How innovative? What really makes it special or stand out from the rest?" Okay, so this guy's mostly talking about like movies, and this guy MSCO2SS says, "I believe it's the structure of a review." That is fair. The structure is kind of important. You don't want to be confused by the review. Those are interesting points of view. Personally, I think a review should be relatively comprehensive, informative, and well-researched. Reviewing an anime based on a manga, well, who made the damn manga? How does it translate to the screen? Reviewing a movie known for its editing, don't watch it at 2 times fucking speed. The most egregious sin in the Anime Boys video. I do also think digging deeper makes for a better review. For instance, reviewing a retro game, dig into the development cycle, cut content, secrets, and Easter eggs. I like that little bit of flourish to a review. So, there's my mini reaction to the Anime Boys. Now, Ellen Historian, who I'm jumping off this video from, is a Twitter user that I think posts more regularly on TikTok. Well, that explains a lot. Who had a shit fit about the anime man. So remember when Joey gave the metaphor, the analogy of tourists being like American colonists? Well, LN here took that quite literally and said the magic G word that people that pray at the church the Blue Donkey like to say when talking about a conflict they're thousands of miles removed from. A G word that I'm pretty sure is on YouTube's no-note list. While, of course, those who pray at the Church of the Red Elephant would promptly call LN here woke, or say something racist about him being Indian. We're going to move on from the exercise in futility that is debating political worldviews and talk about what the crux of this video is actually about. A statement that came from Ellen himself, one that permeates online discourse about art time to time, a concept that all art is political. Spoiler alert, I don't agree, but let me explain why. So, all art is political, apparently. No, it's not. But what about art that's intended to be political? What is on screen now is a famous piece by Pablo Picasso. This Cubist painting is quite good in my opinion. A lot of people seem to hate on the invention of Cubism, but I quite like it actually. I do prefer his blue period the most though. Now let's assume those watching who know about this piece don't have the context for it. They'd be like, hey, that's a pretty cool painting. But what if I told you this was meant to protest the Spanish Civil War? Well, let's just forget the history for right now. How the fuck is someone supposed to look at this painting and know it's specifically protesting the Spanish Civil War? Sure, the images of war are there, but this was painted in the 30s. This could just be a general depiction of the horrors of war, or some kind of abstract piece that means nothing. The Cubist style doesn't necessarily make it easier to correlate to the Spanish Civil War. This brings to mind a cliche of those outside of the art world might utter when viewing such a work. What does it mean, though? Well, it means Spanish Civil War bad, or something. Now, pretty much everybody in the entire fucking world agrees that war is bad. If Picasso didn't say so, who the fuck would interpret this painting as that? Well, maybe I'm just asking the question because we're nearly 100 years removed from this piece. Let's go more modern. Banksy. Banksy is a notorious street artist, or graffitiist, if you will, that's known for his political art, usually aligning with left-wing points of view. Some of these pieces are apparent, some of them not so much. Personally, I think his artwork itself is a bit overrated. I think some of his pieces are far more apparent in what they're trying to say, but take this most recent one of this judge slaughtering a protester. I would not know that's a judge because I'm American. You Brits seriously still put on those fucking wigs? Like, bro, how is anyone gonna take you seriously? Beans on toast, eh? Fucking fish and chips, yeah? Fucking tea and crumpets, oi. Got a license for that. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell that's a judge without the context. Or that's a protester, really. It's not a very good piece of art. I've seen him do better. Anyway, what about art that gets politics projected onto it? Say, take this image of Saber from the Fate series, more specifically King Arthur, or Arturia from Zero and Stay Night. This image actually pops up a lot in the counter-argument to the claim that all art is political, usually accompanied by the phrase, okay, explain the politics of this. Now, what if I told you this could be interpreted as a racist image? It could be, really. Hold on, hear me out. See, it could be in reference to the JetBlue passenger who is yelling slurs while wearing a Burger King crown. Also, bro, blonde hair, blue eyes, Aryan? Big yikes, everyone. Just like that Sydney Sweeney, great jeans. What? That's racist because I'm Aryans and I'm literally Nazis. You see what I did? It's called projection. The people that claim all art is political are constantly politically brain-rotted. They're consuming these news shows 24/7, so they see this shit 24/7 when it's not there. Now, how does one project onto a piece of art or media so easily? Stay tuned for the next segment, I'll show you. Okay, so on to the next segment of this video. What I'm essentially saying is that it's really easy to project politics onto literally anything. One can sculpt the media they consume to supplement the affirmations of their worldview. I'll give you an example. And I finally get to talk about one of my favorite TV shows. Have any of you guys ever watched the show Supernatural? I will be spoiling seasons 1 through 4 of this 15-season series. I do recommend watching it though, particularly the first 5 seasons, so spoilers ahead for that. Okay, so the premise is that these two brothers, Sam and Dean Winchester, are monster hunters. This is a version of our world populated by monsters and demons, and later on in the series, angels. So the story goes, their mom is murdered by a demon, and their dad raises them to be hunters, and eventually it turns out that the devil is going to be released from hell if they don't stop the seals of the apocalypse from breaking. So at a certain point, a demon named Ruby comes along to help the Winchesters. Now, Dean, wise in his years, knows that hell isn't sending their best. They're sending their rapists, their murderers, their drug dealers, and some of whom he assumes are good people. Sam, the bleeding heart liberal that he is, thinks that with... I'm sorry, I just called Sam a bleeding heart liberal. Sam, the bleeding heart liberal that he is, thinks that with Ruby's help and her blood, yes, he becomes a drug addict for demon blood, which gives him superpowers. This show is insane and I love it for that. He could stop the devil. Now, Dean wants to send the demons back to hell and put up a great big wall. A big, beautiful wall. It's gonna be huge. And in short, basically, Ruby manipulates Sam into freeing the devil because hell isn't sending their best. You see what I just did there? You see how I simplified the plot of the show, oversimplified it. You see how I managed to turn hell into foreign countries and demons into immigrants. You see how this shit isn't in the actual fucking show, and I quite easily managed to project that onto the series almost effortlessly. It's sort of the same thing that breadtubers do when they say old Nickelodeon cartoons being communism good, actually. It's all bullshit that means nothing. Supernatural is just entertainment, bro. And honestly, it's more about the Winchesters' relationship than all that demon stuff. Anyway, let me know if you guys want me to do a ranking every episode of Supernatural a la LS Mark. Love that show. Anyway, I can do that projection thing again, easily. I've recently started playing through those Kingdom Hearts collections that came out on Steam a while ago. I've only played 1 and 2 in the past, so you're probably watching me play Chain of Memories for the first time on screen. But despite its convoluted plot, I can say that this game is about fighting against fascism. Sure, why not? Spoilers for KH1, you know, from 2002. 23 years ago. Fuck, I'm old. Riku. So Riku is Sora's best friend, but when Destiny Island gets consumed by the darkness, they get separated. Eventually they meet up again, and Sora's like, meet my friends Donny Boy and Goofus. Then Riku pulls an Irish exit, and Maleficent's all like, feel the dark, or whatever. Dark being the powers of fascism. When we reach Hollow Bash and Riku's become drunk on power after the Disney villains taught him about tyranny and shit or whatever. Boom, now it's a neoliberal fantasy about fighting the fascist. Sure, there's some connective tissue to work out, but it's pretty easy to apply political concepts on stuff that isn't there. Why not another one? Claymore. Great manga. Love the creature designs. Do think the last story arc had a bit too much going on. Review someday. Minor spoilers for this one. Anyway, Claire? Pfft. Clearly an ICE agent. The Yoma invade these villages because they wanted asylum from the other continent and needed to eat. Then the Claymores come and wrangle them up and kill them. Oh noes, what a fascist. Claire's the bad guy, actually. Do you see just how easy it is to make bullshit up if you're just vaguely familiar with modern political discourse? It's all bullshit. All art is not political, dumbass. Anyway, back to the weeb shit that started it all. So, before I get to your replies to the all art is political commentary, I just want to say something to these anime tourists that don't get it. Dude, they're just fucking cartoons. It's not that deep. Also, celebrating censorship, for lack of a better word, is fucking I'm gonna have to bleep that. But granted, I'm not having a shit fit that they didn't show Kitagawa's titties in Dress Up Darling Season 2. At the same time, I am also confused as to why they deflated Bocchi's breast in Bocchi the Rock. Like, women have boobs, dude. Get over it. Actually, she's like 16. Well, one, it's called puberty. That's when they come in. That's just a fact of life. Sorry, not sorry. And two, once again, it's a fucking cartoon. Get over it. All art is not political, but politics can be applied to anything. If you think making a metaphor about colonists equates to being in favor of a G word I can't say on YouTube, you need to have your fucking head examined. Anyway, what do you guys have to say about this topic? Huh? Let's read them after I cool down a bit. I'm getting a little bit heated in this video. It's just the idiocy. I can't stand it anymore. Okay, before we wrap up, let's see what some of you guys have to say about the utter lie that all art is political. There are also some mentions of AI messing up research because I had to cancel an iceberg that required a lot of historical research, and every search engine has implemented AI that just isn't ready yet and gets shit wrong all the time, and that was a run-on sentence. So that's why there are some mentions of that. That's a discussion for another time. Anyway, let's read them. Hello Atelier, a friend of the channel, Patreon, sent some fan art in, like that piece, look at it all the time, says, I don't believe all art is political. It's more the perspective of the people viewing the art and forcing their subjective opinions onto it. Exactly. Somebody took my deeply personal vent paintings and told me it was associated with a political party. I kick them down a flight of stairs if given the chance, or stomp on their toes. Either or. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know how anybody could take my characters and associate them with a political party or movement. I feel it's just a perspective thing. Buddy Tropic here says, all art can be political based on how someone may interpret or look into it, but I don't give a fuck. Exactly. Like I said earlier, you can project politics onto anything. Largenheim 2032 says, art changes depending on the person viewing it. I might see a cactus while someone else might see a plume of smoke kind of thing. Of course, art can have a truth, but theorists might still try to disprove or prove their own ideas of it. We do this all the time with TV shows. Is there a twist filling? Is there some kind of movement here? Are these two characters going to get together? You know. In my case, my art is nothing but memeable cringe garbage. Oh, come on, don't put yourself down. But to me, it's therapy. Facing dark things because I can't let the dark rot in me. Most people wouldn't think that looking at it, but I don't think they're bad for thinking that. Perspective is just one of the things that defines us as individuals. They see politics, you see creativity. The only things we can control is ourselves. They can believe it's political all they want, but the truth is immovable. Some people are willingly content with theory and opinion if it speaks to them more than the truth does. Probably Unhinged says, it's too bad about the iceberg. Yeah, that's with the AI stuff I mentioned earlier. I do not think all art is political. I never even heard of that before now, but I would like to know why some people think that. Well, it's because they're stupid. All art is not political, but yeah. And the majority of my viewers are artists themselves, because this channel did start out like drawing videos that no one watched, but then I started covering other stuff and then people started watching. I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of weird. Anyway, in the end, all art is not political, but politically brain-rotted people will make it so. Alright, I'm getting really tired of saying the word political, so let's wrap this up. Some might say that my own comic, Doomsayer, is an inherently political work due to the nature of it being a dark fantasy where the majority of the story's focus is on the world's nobility and the politics they are involved in. However, I do not intend it to be taken as such. The majority of this story I'm crafting is about interpersonal human relationships. It just so happens that fictional politics are the backdrop for this story. But someone might come across it may not feel that way despite me, the author, literally stating my intent. Some might come across it and say there's too much blood and tits. And to them I say, don't like it, don't read it. Remember that. Remember that. Remember where people didn't like something, they just didn't engage with it? What happened to that? What happened to people? What the fuck happened to people? Anyway, I digress. Do you agree, disagree, counter arguments? Start a fight in the comments section, whatever. I've been John. This has just been my opinion. I know someone's gonna comment some bullshit proving they didn't even watch the video. And honestly, I don't care. I'm just so damn tired of this debate. Comic review coming up next. Oh yeah, we're revisiting the Lovecraft lesbians. I'll see you next time. Sayonara, motherfuckers.